Spectre, I'm guessing, right?
No. Just be
Making
like,
sure you saw it. Making sure you saw it. That's
yeah, I
all.
saw it opening day.
Same here. Okay.
I saw it Thursday at the old 7 o'clock. Except for it's not nearly as exciting as like when we went to go see Skyfall and they were like handing out free shit. Like this one was like,
They're
oh,
handing out.
remember they like there was a contest and won a poster.
Yeah, I remember when like there because there's like name all the 007s, all the different guys that played 007. And the first guy they picked happened to just be like just he named off all like the ones everyone thinks of. You're like that dumbass missed somebody. There's somebody from the black and white American movie, and you just get all like fucking bit on shit. Because that guy get the post.
I know, because I was like, yeah, we didn't name the original Bond, fucking Casino Royale.
Or Peter Sellers Bond, you know.
Peter Sellers Bond. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that one, but like, it was just one of those ones. Like, yeah, so people forget that there was actually a Bond before Sean Connery.
Peter Sellers. That's gotta be kind of weird though when you think about it. Just like Peter Sellers, like because I'm guessing that because if I had to guess, I mean I wasn't there for it. Bond was probably pretty big before the movies even came out, and that the first like well, at least British interpretation of it to like screen was kind of like we're doing a comedy, you know.
Well, for
Yeah,
the first
wasn't
one?
Peter Sellers one of the very first like
Oh, that's
there's
not
the
the first
casino
one though.
there's a Casino
There's an
Royale for like American television where they made him a CIA agent, and then the
Yeah, there's that one which has Barry Nelson
mhm.
playing it, and that's the one I was thinking of because that's technically the very first Bond movie. I mean, if you really think about it, 19, I think it was 54 or
Mhm.
something like that.
Does that one actually have like a does that one does it actually if you watch that one and you watch the Daniel Craig Casino Royale, do you see some similar things, or is it just kind of like the whole
Well, it's the same. It's based off the same book, so it's got similar things. It's just it's only like an hour
Mhm.
long, and it's one of those ones. It's like kind of it's a TV movie, so it's like okay, let's focus on what's cheap gambling. That will be like what 75%
Oh,
of this
okay.
one is. It's just like don't expect like car chases and ball
Ball
smacking and so on
smacking.
in it.
Well, when you say no ball smacking, I'm just out of it. That just ruins the movie for me. I really
You mean they don't sit Barry Nelson on a chair and
well,
spin around a giant rope with weights on it and
I was
smack him in
really
the nuts?
surprised when I first saw that movie of what they were doing, of all the ways they could torture him. Like they're gonna do something fucked up. Like they can't go nothing that bad because it's PG-13. Like he's naked. They cut out the bottom of the chair and they just drop the rope on his shoulder. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Then he slaps him. Like I was like, I get it. I understand. That's probably one of the most excruciating things that could possibly happen. But it's just it's almost kind of funny, with all the things you could do. It's like, it's not like we took a hammer. It's not like we're just, he was with to cut his balls off. Just like, let me feed you what you don't care about or whatever. Just pulls a switchblade out. But and he even made a joke like, "Y'all in here, they're gonna kill you, and you're scratching my balls." But that scene is the way he handles it. It's Bond as fuck, but it just sounds funny to me. Of all the things you could do, we're just whacking him lightly in the balls with the rope.
Well, that was the thing. I remember, like, because before, like, they made the Daniel Craig one, it was like you read the book and then you're like, you go to your friend and be like, dude, did you fucking read Casino Royale? Because that was the one that was like, they didn't ever make this one into a movie because I didn't know about the Barry Nelson one at this point. So it's kind of the book. It's like, you got to fucking read this one. It's a completely different story. You're like, dude, they fucking torture him by beating his balls. They're like, dude, I know, man. Like, why isn't that not in the fucking movies? Like, as a kid, you're like, dude, that's what I want to see. It's kind of like The Spy Who Loved Me. Like, if you read the book, it's like a completely different story than the movie is. Which it's a very like simplistic Bond one. Like he's literally it's probably been like over 10 years since I read it, but it's almost like he's in a hotel room with this girl like throughout the like almost like the
Really,
whole thing. It's almost like one of those like kind of like be like a
and
Bond
like
film if you did
villains
it.
and shit comes through, and it all probably revolves around everything coming to him.
Yeah, sort of, but nothing's over the top. It's more just kind of like a realistic thing. It reminds me almost something like an old Quentin Tarantino movie would be
I
like.
feel kind of like maybe that to some extent is what the most of the Daniel Craig films kind of go for. At least I feel like at least Casino Royale, because Casino Royale was almost like even though there was some action in it, that one, I mean, 'cause it felt kind of low tech. It still felt like a double O. It still felt like how do I put it? It still felt like a secret agent type of movie with even Bond elements to it, but it definitely felt a lot more kind of like low tech, kind of almost like, for lack of a better word, I guess, kind of classier. You know what I mean? That's not me trying to bring down the other 007s.
Yeah, I don't think classier is the right. I think
Well, I
grittier is the
say
word you're looking
classier.
more for.
I did mean kind of classier just because, I mean, there was definitely grittier, but I say classier because he always does go to interesting locations. But I mean, the colors are a lot more vibrant. Most of the movie was kind of in more prestigious areas. There's the part at the beginning where he's chasing someone through Africa, but everything else, it's all kind of, it's all like,
Where he's jumping from the cranes
yeah,
and
like
everything
because
like
everything
that.
else is like,
Well, the Spy Who Loved Me one though, I mean, like, because Casino Royale, that's still like a extreme amount of action. Like this one, it was just interesting. Just it was almost just like such a simple story. If I was gonna go back and read one of the 007 books, that might be one of the ones I'd pick up again, just because it's just so different than like what you're used to in Bond. But that almost made it kind of cool. And I really can't remember too much more than that. As I said, I probably read it in, I don't know, like the seventh grade or something, sixth or seventh grade, like way back then. But something that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. Is just we're kind of at this point now. It's like, why don't you just take a ballsy like stab at Bond and just do something that you would not expect? I mean, some people would be like, "That's not Bond." I'd be like,
to bring it all
"Trust me, it
around, maybe
is."
like a
But
ballsy whack at Bond. that
yeah, ballsy whack.
was almost clever.
But going into, well, welcome to the Old Man Orange
I'm Ryan
podcast. I'm
Dunigan.
Spencer Scott Holmes. But
And
we both went and saw
before
Spectre
before
opening
you even
day.
say what you think, can we take a little bit of a science experiment here? Can I just with as
Mm-hmm.
quickly as I mean we'll cover everything like we usually do about it, but um can I just go in and just assume what you thought of it just within a couple sentences?
Sure, I didn't
No, no, no,
explain
no,
any
no,
of it
no,
to
no.
you,
I
but
mean, no, we will. I'm saying we will. Like we usually always do. But I mean, it's
yeah.
one of those things because I just watching this movie because you're. I mean, I always liked 007, but 007 is one of your favorite things. So going to see this movie by myself without you next to me, I was like, I wonder what Spencer thinks of that. I wonder what Spencer thinks of this. So I want to just see how right I was before we go into detail, and I'll just make it quick. Okay, your overall assumption, if I had to guess, you liked it. You thought it was pretty good. You liked how they're kind of going for more traditional Bond while still sort of staying in the Daniel Craig kind of area. You did not like the opening theme by Sam Smith. And
I didn't have too much of a problem with that opening theme. I'll tell
and
you. I mean, I'm not gonna say like I was like, man, I can't wait to get that song from my
it
007
didn't sound like a
collection.
Bond
But
theme to me. It sounded like it was sort of Bond theme-ish, but didn't sound that Bond themey to me. But I mean, I thought it was all right.
well, that guy kind of has like a girly
I thought
voice
it
when
was
he
a girl
sings.
for a
I
split
have to
second. I'm
say.
like, wait, is that a girl? Like, oh, Sam Smith. Okay, but
I mean, they needed somebody more like a Chris Cornell once
well,
again, or
without
something like
trying to
that.
like beat down like Sam Smith, 'cause I don't got a problem with him or anything, but he does have that high pitched voice. But as far as like most of the I mean, they had like they had Chris Cornell, they had Jack White, they had Paul McCartney, so they definitely had rock people on there, but they're usually pop stars they get for the themes, aren't they?
Well, in the olden days, it was kind of like they had
Almost
more
Vegas
pretty
acts kind of
much.
theme.
Yeah, like Frank Sinatra, but not Frank Sinatra
Tom
kind of like
Jones.
sounds. You know, yeah, you had Tom Jones, and you had drawing a blank on what's the black guy with the really raspy voice?
Not Louis Armstrong, but there's more than one. I know.
Yeah, but he's like he's got that real like where do we know? He does that. Fuck, I'm just drawing a blank right now, but whatever. Like so, they had kind of a lot of like almost like singer songwriter type people, or like kind of like Vegas acts, things like that that felt kind of like classy to go with Bond. And then it was sort of like I guess in the '80s they got kind of like well, I mean they had Duran Duran, which I guess that was like having a big pop act right there, and that's actually one of my favorite Bond songs, "For a View to a Kill." And then they kind of like from that point on after that, I almost want to say like the next like 6 or 7 Bond films were always like women singing. They're always pop girls singing, and that's kind of where
Isn't
the
like
pop thing came.
wasn't the lead lady from Seal? like or wasn't Lady wasn't or is it Seal? What didn't Seal do a
Well, Seal's the one that has the Batman Forever suit. That's
I
what I was
thought
thinking.
someone like Seal or Elites did like something for the World's Not Enough. Which who is World's Not Enough?
God, who was World's Not Enough? Okay, Cheryl Crow, I think, did one for Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, that's who I got
Is that
Cheryl
her?
Crow mixed up. I
And
don't, yeah,
then,
Cheryl
and
Crow. I meant
then,
Tomorrow Never. The World's Not. No, I am thinking of World's Not Enough. Okay.
and then Tina Turner did one for, I want to
Was that
say,
Goldeneye? I get my
was that Tina
golden
Turner did that one?
eye.
Golden Now. That's the one that's written by Bono and
He
fucking
didn't.
the
They
Edge,
just
though.
wrote it, but they didn't like
And then
sing.
some,
Yeah.
yeah. It'd be funny if that was like this, like, so this is the Edge singing. This is what he sounds like.
Why do you think Bono
Golden
just keeps singing guitar?
Now.
It'll cause
Yeah,
confusion.
there's a reason why he sounds like an old black lady when he sings.
No, I mean, go ahead. Yeah.
But I would say, well, going back to Spectre, Spectre was one of those Bond movies where it was good. I enjoyed it. I actually, I guess maybe I was expecting a lot more just from the way they were talking
Best
about it
Bond
because they're
ever.
like, I get, well, after Skyfall, because Skyfall was a really good Bond film. And then they're like, dude, we're harkening back to like the golden age of Bond. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And then Spectre's there, and it's like it's good, but it's like, well, you guys didn't really go that much far back, you know. And then I guess kind of, because Daniel Craig's just been kind of out there like, oh, I fucking hate this, fuck you, fuck all, and it's maybe not that intense,
Yeah.
but that's how it feels. And when that movie started up, I just started busting up laughing. When they show the part where it's looking down the barrel and Bond's walking, like his walk is just like, let's get this fucking over with. Like there is like that walk does not look like he wants to be there. That
That had to be one of
I
the
don't
last
know what it
things
was.
they
I just
shot,
like
probably.
oh, it had to have been. It really did because it just looked like, dude, you guys almost should have just pulled the one from like Skyfall and whipped it on the front. No one would have noticed.
Well, I will say I think this one's almost trying to make the transition the Bonds we know because I mean I thought this one I mean it wasn't it was still kind of Daniel Craigish because I think all the Daniel Craig movies each one whether you love them or hate them they all have been something different which I think is I mean don't take this the wrong way but like tops like a complaint that a lot of like Bond that a lot of people have had regarding Bond films. A lot of people say it's always the same thing where which sometimes if they do it right the same thing's fine but um I thought the Craig ones all did something a little different. Where Casino Royale, like I said earlier, was a little bit more toned down, was a little grittier, and kind of had a like little bit of a retro feel to it. Like a very like
Mm-hmm.
realistic kind of feel, which I don't think they've had for a while. And then Quantum of Solace was just like bring it to like Die Hard level action, just action after action after action. And then
Uh
Skyfall,
huh.
which I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to jump on a bandwagon here. And keep in mind, I like Bond; it's my favorite thing, but I like Bond. Um, Skyfall is just like possibly my favorite Bond film, one of my favorite Bond films because
It is a
it's
good one.
it's
Like
so
that one.
different. You know what I mean? And plus, it kind of progressively it starts off big and it gets smaller, but it seems to get more heavy and more intense as it goes on.
Well, that one. What I like about that one is it almost feels like it's a Clint Eastwood movie out of the '70s. If Clint Eastwood probably played Bond, that's kind of how it feels. Yeah, and it starts off like a big Bond movie, but then it becomes a smaller, grittier, more like shit's going down Bond film, and I think that was really cool, and that's what made Skyfall different. Now, I wouldn't say like with the older Bond movies, I think they're all like completely different because that's what makes Bond a really neat thing is that in every single one he's always going to a different location. Like maybe he's in Russia in this one, or he's in Japan in this one, or he's in China in this. And I think back in the olden days when cultures were a little bit more unique,
Mhm.
that made it really sweet. Where nowadays, you kind of like you go anywhere in the world and it doesn't look that
Yeah,
much
what I meant
different.
by like things going different, I just meant like the kind of type of movie. I mean, there's still spy thrillers, but I mean, what was different was, I mean, yeah, probably one of the big perks of a Bond film is it goes all over the place. Where the Daniel Craig ones, I just think each one almost seemed like it was trying a different genre or something a Bond film hasn't done previously. And how like in Skyfall, how something, I mean, there was still you still had the chick that ended up being Money Penny, and then you had like the one hot Asian chick who dies, but beyond that though, the Bond girl of the movie is M. So and there was no real like relationship
Mm-hmm.
there, and like you said, kind of like more like a '70s kind of Clint Eastwood movie is what that sort of felt like.
Well, that's what makes Skyfall, I think, one of the best Bond ones too. Because I like Daniel Craig. I like those Bond movies. They're kind of pretty much they're about my least favorite Bond movies generally. Skyfall's probably up there actually a lot higher than the other ones. And the only reason, like as a Bond fan, I think just what's missing from those ones is it just misses sort of like the fun is kind of almost missing, sort of. I'm not saying they're not good, but they were going from the 2000s where everything started to get serious, and they're kind of going off that Born Identity style. Like, let's just see a man like, and I think that I mean that's not a bad thing. They kind of have that change, but I think kind of in Bond movies, like what you sort of always wanted to see is like, well, what kind of car is Bond going to get in this one, or what kind of new gadgets is he going to get in this one, and where are we going to go in these movies, and it's sort of that kind of got toned down a bit. And I understand like what it kind of came to is that Austin Powers came out, and that kind of like exploited like I guess you could say the Bond movies like and turned them into like this extreme version of them, making them funny and kind of silly and so on. And I like the Austin Powers movies, but that by doing that for some reason they couldn't make like almost like a kind of an old school Bond movie where you're going to have kind of one liners like Arnold Schwarzenegger and so on. You're going to have over the top action, big villains and so on. So you go to this grittier, realistic place. In movie history, it just kind of flip flops from having more fantasy style movies to being gritty and realistic, fantasy style movies, gritty and realistic, and back and forth. And that's sort of what the 2000s was filled with. Now, coming up to Skyfall was the one that felt like it almost was hearkening, even though it had this grittiness to it and made this different tone, but it did feel like you were watching more of a Bond movie because the villain in it felt like he was a little bit more of a mastermind. He had a little bit more charisma. He had a little bit more character going on. And I think that's what made it really cool. Where when you get to Spectre, it almost felt like they were saying like, okay, Skyfall was one step forward. Spectre's going to be another step forward. And no one's felt like it was a step back.
I think they kind of were intended for it to be a step forward because I was noticing this movie because, like, all the Bond films, it seems kind of like, all right, to some extent, it's almost always kind of like a mystery. We got to go to this part of the world to find this one little thing. Oh, shit, the bad guys found us. Quick action scene, quick shootout, quick chase. All right, we got away. Now we got to go over here, find this person. That person might live or die. He might end up fucking her, might not. You'll see what happens. And then it's just kind of like, clues leading them all across the world usually. And then leads up to the bad guy's lair, whatever they escape or have the final battle there or whatever. And I think that most of the Craig films, they do kind of have a little bit of that, but this one definitely had a lot more of that. That felt a little bit more like Bond.
You think Spectre
I
had
think
more
so,
of that,
because I'm thinking back on Casino Royale. Casino Royale didn't go to a whole lot of places. It started off at a very exotic place at the beginning, but then it was mostly in where that take place. Did that take place somewhere in France or somewhere like?
No, it's in South America. It's in not.
No, it wasn't Cuba.
But...
Was it like in Spain or something like that? I thought it was like because they're in like because they then they go to Venice later or something.
Well, I guess you're. Well, that's in Italy.
Like Italy, and then
that's true. It does end there. Maybe that is. For some reason, I was thinking that was somewhere else.
Because they go to a few different places, but it's not really about the chase. It's more like here's the mission. We're here. We had to go to a few other places before we got here. But most of the movie's going to take place here in this casino. And I thought it was France, somewhere in France, or maybe somewhere in Spain. Maybe it was Italy. And then I want to say Quantum of Solace was just we're fucking running the whole time. I mean, there was some clue shit going on, but it was like we're fucking running the whole fucking time. We can't stop. Okay, I'll stop and fuck this chick real quick. Oh, she's dead. She's in oil. Okay, moving on. And then like.
Well, yeah, because Quantum of Solace, that's one of those movies like I've watched a couple times. I remember the first time seeing it, I was just like, I don't know about this one. It's like the action, it's got good action scenes in it, but that movie's just like, it still to this day, it does not make sense to me. I watch it and I'm just like, I really don't get exactly what's going on in this film. It's almost that point where you want a lot of action, but there also comes a point too where there can be almost too much action. Sometimes I think about like the G.I. Joe movie because I remember that one was just filled with a copious amount of action, and it was just almost like if the story wasn't so simplistic, I would have no idea what the hell was going on in that film. But I think of myself as being 10 years old. That's probably exactly what I would have wanted. And maybe Quantum of Solace would have been one of those movies if I was 10 years old. I would have really liked it as a Bond film because it just had a copious amount of action in it.
And then when you get to Skyfall, even though you still have some stuff of him going, it's a Bond film. It's supposed to be a little bit of globetrotting. But that one, it seems the half of it took place out in England the whole time. I mean, I think they end up in Scotland at the end, but still kind of like they don't go that far. They
In
kind of
Skyfall.
stay, yeah, in Skyfall. It's
Yeah, because
all
it ends in there. Well, there's that part too where because it has that cool intro where Bond gets shot. And it's just like, oh, is he fucking dead? I mean, obviously you know he's not because it's like 10 minutes in the that'd be the one that's just like,
it's like
no,
you
he is
only
dead.
live
This is a
twice.
movie about 008.
It's like you only live twice, kind of like that. How it's just like, well, he died doing what he wanted, you know. They have the opening credits, and then he seems like, oh yeah, that bitch got me again. And then it's like, ha, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like I like that because I like that part too in Skyfall where he's just like out there, he's just like drinking. He's got the fucking scorpion on him. Like I don't give a fuck. Give me my Heineken.
Sad Bond drinks Heineken and Heineken only.
Yeah.
It is kind of like the Dos Equis man, because it's like what the most interesting man in the world. Kind of like when I was just like, I don't drink beer too often, but when I do, I drink Heineken. You know.
Yeah, exactly. The most interesting spy in the world. But like, well, Spectre was one of those ones. Like, I guess what I was expecting is I was expecting to kind of harken back, like, oh, maybe we're gonna get a little bit more over the top stuff, and maybe we're gonna get these big broad characters. Maybe we're gonna get, I don't know, just I was maybe just expecting too much going into it. And I said, like, I liked it, but it was one of those movies where I kind of walked out, kind of going, well, I mean, there was some cool stuff in it, but I think it's like they got Blofeld in there, but he's barely in the fucking movie. You got a super actor playing him, and he's got maybe like 20 minutes of screen time in this like 2.5 hour long movie. That was the part that kept. I was looking over like, dude, isn't he gonna fucking appear here? Like,
At
dude.
least he came back and had the scar, because at some point I'm sitting there watching this movie, and like I was like, okay, is he just in that scene where at the table? And then I'm kind of like wondering. I figured it was Blofeld, because now movies have this thing where it's like we advertise this actor's in it. Is it Khan? No, it's not fucking Khan. Are you fucking stupid? You watch the movie. My real name is Khan. They lied. It's Khan. So they kind of said that with this. Like, we think Christoph Waltz is playing Blofeld. He is not playing Blofeld. It is someone else. It's a new character. Shut the fuck up. Then it's just like, hence Crimfenfly, blah, 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 whatever, is dead. Now I am Blofeld. It's just like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I just felt like Christoph Waltz. It's like that's an actor that, like, dude, give that guy some screen time. Like, we all know he's a super actor,
Yeah.
and he's really not in that film very much. And even at the very end, like when you expect there to be a big, boss battle, and it's like, no, not really. Takes down a helicopter.
Well, it kept him alive. I was like, well, I remember what it was. Like, I'm letting you live. I'm like, I thought to myself for the sequel.
Yeah, it's just like other than that, like why else? No, it's like, what are you fucking like taking after Batman now? It's like, what the hell
He
is going
says,
on?
if I kill this guy, then we lose a good chunk of our fan basis. I think this
It,
one was trying to go. It was trying to do it Daniel Craig style, but almost like try to do the try and make it more Bondish, because like more traditional Bondish. The reason I say that is because there is the parts where what was I going to say? Where it's because I think this one did have a lot more traveling, a lot more globe trotting around. You did have, I think, some more chases, and then there is the part where it seems to happen in a lot of the older Bond films. It doesn't really happen so. It didn't. I don't think it happens so much in the Daniel Craig movies. Maybe it did at some point. I'm just drawing a blank, but the part where they basically get captured by the bad guy says, "Welcome to my accommodations. Would you like champagne? Would you like a new suit? Here, my lady, wear this dress." And then like eventually he's like, "Oh yeah, so we're just gonna be chill with you before we kill you, and then eventually we're gonna have you strapped to some kind of torture device. You will get out." Yeah, and it
well,
will
then
be by
he
the
gets out like so easily out of that trap too. They kind of like, oh, okay, like he's like, take this watch, and I was like, oh, okay, throw this down, blows it up. Next thing you know, they're running out of there, shoots a couple guys,
That's
blows
not
up the
different from
entire place, and it's like,
That's not
okay,
any
that was
different from any other Bond movie.
well, no, well, most time there's a little bit more like, I guess something going on that's more pressing.
Mm-hmm.
This one it was just kind of like, okay, we got out of that pretty simply. I mean, like, of course, I got stabbed with a couple needles. That was the, you know,
That
a little bit
hurt.
more painful part. But other than that, though, I remember there was like, that was it. That's all it took for them to get out of there. Like, what the hell?
Well,
And
and
then
then
there's
like they still have that big like action scene at the end when they get back to England. So it's not like it ends there. It continues.
well, yeah, it continues from there. But even some of the action scenes, like when I was watching them, I was kind of going like, I sort of expected something a little bit more, and then you kind of watch it, it's like that was it. Like, it's cool that Batista's in the movie. I think it's kind of weird. It's like, why does he have like only one line in it? Like, it's either one of the two things. Either like English people are like, he's a wrestler. He's not a good actor. Or they just said, like, let's make him kind of like Jaws, because everybody loves Jaws, right? Right? Yeah, we all love Jaws. Like, of course we love Jaws, but, Batista doesn't have to be Jaws. He could be kind of his own thing. But there's that car chase that they have, and it almost feels like just a slow car chase. Like, there's really no action going on. It's just more like Bond driving, looking in the rearview mirror. Batista's behind him, driving, keeping up. It's not like they're crashing really too much into stuff. I mean, they push some old guy in like a little Fiat at some point. That was like the most extreme section of it. And then it finally ends in Bond driving the car and having it blow up, or shoots the flames out the back and then drives into the lake or the river. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, I just remember going like,
the ejection seat.
Yeah, it was like that was it. Like, it just felt like, couldn't you had some more like gunfire going on, like some missiles shooting out or something like that? I mean, I know like they kind of had some of the jokes in there, which I thought those were fine. Whether like he goes to use stuff and everything was just kind of like not working because it was the prototype car still. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it was just one of those ones that was like, maybe it's one of those ones after you see so many Bond movies. You kind of always have to like somewhat up the ante, because when you see these other car chase scenes from movies 30 years old, and it's like, well, that was like way better. Like, what the heck is going on in this one? And then there was the other one too, where when they were in the snow area, and there was some cool stuff going on when he's flying the plane down and stuff. And sometimes like there's those moments where it's like, and it happened I think in Daniel Craig ones too, where it's like he almost like is trying to like kill himself in the process. Like he knows that he probably could die, but he just doesn't really care.
Yeah, I felt bad at the snow chase because there is a part where they're coming in some small little village and he's driving the plane crashing down, and there's like, if you look, that one house, I think there might be more than one, but I know there's at least one like farmhouse out in the middle of snow he crashes through. If you look at that house, it's positioned away. There's kind of an opening in this little like farmish area, and you can see all these logs of wood just stacked perfectly. And what happened was, some poor European, like Eastern European child, just like, Papa said I couldn't have supper till I was done with the logs. See, all here now, yay! And then like all of a sudden, here comes like Bond, like, out of my way! It's coming plowing through.
Busts through there, knocks all this over. Then Dad gets home later in the day. He was like, "Boy, I told you to pick that wood up." He's like, "I did, Papa, I did. Why shoot over the goddamn ground?" He starts smacking the shit out of this boy.
You go into the well like your brother. I'm like, no, Papa, no. I don't know why I said Eastern European. I'm making it Italian, but you get the point.
But,
Standard like American. As long as they're European, they all sound the same to me.
It's like one of the best parts, like in Red Dawn, like when the kids are leaving and they're like, "You gotta leave your dad." He's like, "Papa, no, Papa." It's like that guy get all like super Italian all of a sudden.
Papa, no. It was like the kid in the Star Wars hat too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And the thing about that part is it's so funny just because like I have to act super Italian around my dad. I can't even speak English around my dad, otherwise he beats me.
Yeah, literally. So he also beats me if I don't stack the wood properly.
It's an Italian thing.
That's almost like a dad thing in general. Like dads, it's like they're like the wood's always gonna be perfect. I don't know what it is about that. Like it's gotta be stacked and perfect, and you're just kind of going like you're just gonna burn it anyway. Why does that have to be perfect?
Yeah, you would have that mentality as a kid, but I remember.
Well, even still, I feel like I still have that like thing. It's like, I mean, I understand it doesn't have to look like just like a pile of wood, but I mean, why is it got to be perfect? I mean, if you're gonna burn it, I mean, it'd be different if you're gonna build something out of it or something like that. But
when I was, it sounds kind of weird because I lived in, when I lived back in San Jose when I was a kid, we actually had a old-fashioned fireplace, and when we hit winter time, we would have we would just have like. My dad would hire some company and they would just dump this big fucking stack of like logs in our driveway, and then I'd have to like stack them all up like you said perfectly, kind of like that was a dad thing. That'd be perfect. They'd be lined up. They had to look nice, and that was gonna last us the winter. It was ironic because by the time we actually moved to the woods, we had a furnace, So, but yeah. I do all that. And I remember there was this whole thing of just getting home and just being, because it would always happen during the winter, and I were just rolling in after school, like, okay, I'm going to do that. I see this big stack of wood. Fuck! It's the beginning of winter. I forgot.
I hate wood, yeah, no. But going back to Spectre, that scene, it was like, it was a cool scene, don't get me wrong, but it almost felt like the thing about this movie is I felt like it was missing the Bond moments. That it like it just they just weren't there. And perfect examples like in the video games, like in the good old GameCube era, all those games like they would solidify. You'd have like a Bond moment where you did something really cool, where you took down like an enemy, in, like stylish Bond style, you know. And I was just kind of like expecting some of those in that movie, and there wasn't really anything too much in it. I don't
Well,
know.
I thought that this movie, in my opinion, what I thought it was trying to do, 'cause I liked it. I mean, I think I probably liked it a little bit more than you did. Not like by a much more. For I'll be honest, probably my favorite as far as the Craig ones go. My most favorite to least favorite probably goes Skyfall, Casino Royale, this one, Quantum of Solace.
That's probably how
Um,
it goes for me too. I mean, Quantum of Solace is like, that is kind of like the lower end of all the Bond films out there. Like I still
well,
enjoy it.
I
Like the
actually I like that one more than some of the Roger Moore ones. Actually, I mean, it's just one of those as far as Daniel Craig goes. I mean, I enjoyed it when I first saw it. I liked it a lot. Then I
mhm.
liked it a little less when I saw it again. But I just as time went on, I liked it a little bit more. And I guess it was trying something different. I'm going to give it credit for that.
Yeah, as well as ones like I mean, I'm not saying I don't like it. There's no such thing as a bad Bond movie out there. I mean, the worst Bond movie is still like a pretty darn good movie, but it is close to being one of my least favorite ones. I think just because like it's got good action. It's just I think the story is just kind of. I mean, I guess you could say it's trying something sort of different. I guess for a Bond film, you know, not necessarily different for a movie, but different for a Bond film. But
Well, something that I know that Daniel Craig ones do, they are all linked together now because this one played it off that like every villain in the previous films were all working for Blofeld.
Spectre, yeah. But when
Yeah.
I think that was kind of cool tying it all together like that. So it almost gave reason to all these ones working, which that's you know even the old Bond movies they're all tied together too. I mean, you
They're
know,
tied
Spectre's
together, but it seemed almost they wouldn't like acknowledge it so much. Maybe you could point out some. I know Jaws comes back. I know that like certain
Spectre's
villain.
in it for about 5 or 6 of them or so.
Yeah, but I just sort of seemed like they wouldn't really recall like major events from it. They might mention, oh yeah, you were there's the incident you had on the tanker, or there's that one chick you dated, but they never really seemed to call back. Kind of like how the part when Blofeld's going through. Oh yeah, Silver, he worked for me. Lashif, he worked for me. Eva Green, that was a big one for him. Da da da. You know what I mean? Just kind of going. Then what about M? You know, and just breaking down every little like so it's like so I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I know for any other movie it's probably not a big deal, but for just a Bond film, oh, they wrap it all together.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, that's kind of that's like the now thing to do. Like one
Hmm.
thing I kind of miss nowadays is they almost don't do this anymore, where they just make standalone films.
Yeah.
Like you know everything they make nowadays, it has to be a sequel, it has to be a continual, it has to be you know storyline. Even in TV shows, it's like whatever happened to the days when you could almost just have you know individual episodes. I mean, continuation works you know in some ways, but it's kind of nice just to be able to go like okay, it almost makes it easier to jump into it. Like you know,
Hmm.
I look at shows like Arrow. It's like how the if you didn't know a whole lot about Green Arrow, how the hell could you jump into if you just watched from season 4? You'd have no idea what the hell was going on. But if it
Hmm.
was a show that like you know maybe had you know maybe 3 episode arcs and then kind of like you know here's another storyline and then here's another storyline like you know Batman the animated series or X-Men TV show
Hmm.
like that style like it's kind of nice because it makes it easier I think to jump in if you missed out. Now I mean I know nowadays you can kind of catch up you know by going on Netflix or anything much easier than before, but the standalone seems to be kind of a dead way to make things.
They come out every so often, but they do seem to be a rarity. But as I was saying earlier, though, I think this one was trying to be more traditional Bondish. Maybe it just was almost, maybe just the new Bond and the traditional Bond still kind of just clashed. Because, like I said earlier, I think this one they did go to a lot more places. He did have more gadgets in this one, and plus they're bringing in Spectre and trying to bring in the whole like evil society kind of running everything kind of stuff that you'd see in older Bond films. And like you like just like for instance like the car like I mean granted the stuff didn't work all that well because it's a prototype, but like he had all the little switches and gadgets in the car, and that's something we haven't really seen in a Daniel Craig movie yet. And then plus as each one goes on, because like Casino Royale opens up with him like doesn't even have the I was actually surprised when I first saw the movie with him walking down and just like turning and shooting the gun with the blood coming down the screen. They didn't actually have that. They actually had like a version of it that led into the opening credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then Quantum of Solace ended with that. And then Skyfall ended with that, and then this one just finally said, okay, we're opening with it the way we always do.
Yeah. Well, this one, I guess to me, it just felt like it's just trying to like tiptoe into being. It felt like it had like a Dark Knight Rises feel, where like people are totally in for it. Just do it. Just go for the full distance, and then they go, well, let's not go the full distance yet. They pull back just a bit, where it's just one of those ones where you could have had a car that just had all kinds of gadgets in it, and you could have gave Bond a bunch of other things, and you could have done just a little bit more of certain ones of these scenes, and you could have made maybe these characters fleshed out a little bit more. For the fact that being one of the longest Bond movies, once again, I go back to like why is the main villain like barely in this film? Like you speak of him a lot, but you got this fantastic actor that should be eating up like an hour and a half of your screen time, like just as much as Bond almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just not.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, go ahead.
As I say, at least in Skyfall, that guy, he's in it quite a bit. You know, and
Of all the Daniel Craig ones, I thought that I forgot the actor's name. He's a really good actor, but he was the bad guy in No Country for Old Men. He was also in a Spanish movie called The Sea Inside. I'm trying to blank on that dude's name, but he was probably my favorite Daniel Craig villain.
Yeah, well, because he's the one you can remember more than the other ones, and that's what made him really good. Then that's why still think Skyfall is the closest one to being like an older Bond movie than any of the other ones, because that one had a lot of that feel to it, and it was going in the right direction. And then this one sort of steps back. Now, once again, I still really like this movie. It reminds me of one of those movies where it'll be one of those ones where you can sort of nitpick a bunch of stuff. That doesn't mean like you hate it, but I guess when they do all this big talk of like we're doing it, and then you kind of go there and you're like, well, yeah,
we did it. Kind of
could have done it a little bit more. I mean, like the beginning scene's fantastic in it, where like they're
Mexico
on
City?
the Day of the Dead in Mexico, which strange enough, I thought Mexico was going to be like more of the movie, because they're like, well, this is the first Bond movie, or he goes to Mexico and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, so Mexico's going to be the main section. I'm like, no, that's going to be the first 10 minutes. Bond doesn't really like Mexico. He says he hates rice and beans with a passion.
He's just like, it's like oh my god, I can't do my it's so hot here, I can't believe it. No.
No.
They don't even have Heinekens here, they just have Coronas.
What is this Corona? It's kind of like one of my favorite Bond parts. I think it's in Live and Let Die. It's when Bond's walking pretty much through like the ghetto and like America, and he's just, and it's Roger Moore, so it's like the most classiest Bond you can get. Then there's just all these black guys looking at him like, honky on your left.
That guy, we mentioned that several times on the podcast. That
guy's
guy
got the most widest voice.
That had to be ADR'd. They must have just like, there must have been like a siren going by, or the wind picked up.
I just like, there was like, oh, get a honky on your left, go down the road. Like,
but yeah, just had
we
to
can't
be
understand this because it's in the 70s. So at that time period, if somebody had an accent, they mostly just dubbed it over, like Mel Gibson or Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though they spoke perfectly fine English.
Because just that voice does not match the guy. I mean, not saying he would have to be yo honky on your left. He just had the most sultry voice for being just some standard street thug, like honky on your left, like that.
But that's just what it just makes you laugh, because it's just Bond's like walking around. He's in a suit and he's just kind of walking through Louisiana. A bunch of black people like, what's this guy doing walking down the street here in his nice fancy suit?
Live and Let Die, where the most like toned down character is the guy with the robot hand.
Exactly. But no, I mean, like overall, Spectre was good. I don't know. To me, it just felt like something was missing, and I kept expecting it to be there, and then it just wasn't. And then it wasn't. It was like, it almost had like a lukewarm feel of a Bond movie, you know?
Mm-hmm. I feel like they're kind of going, as someone who just likes Bond, who's not like a diehard Bond fan, I just like Bond. To me, it felt like they're trying to like you said, kind of tiptoe. They're like, here's the elements, but we're not totally fulfilling it. We're just trying to do more of the Daniel Craig thing, because we know that thing sells. But here's like references in the pattern we would go through, but we're not doing it as best as we could just because we want to do it the more gritty, realistic style. Even the concept of kind of like, this sort of seems kind of like, maybe because I just read a lot of Batman, but it almost seemed kind of like Jokerish when Blofeld had go get the French girl at the end, and he's going through like basically the destroyed MI6, and he has all these pictures set up of different like people, the different villains and different girls that died, and he's kind of like narrate. I think I'm not sure. I don't think he was over a loudspeaker or anything like that, but he could have been. And that almost seemed like a very Joker-esque kind of thing. It seemed like it was trying to do more of like I feel like these are trying to take more inspiration from Batman to a certain extent. Like,
because Skyfall was like Bat Bond.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, if you're gonna take from the best almost.
Because the character Silver was basically, even though as good as that guy was, and even though he did stand out, he did remind me very much of just kind of like a semi like because they implied like potential like gay stuff for a second, but semi-gay Hispanic Joker.
Yeah. Well, even like there was other things too. It's like I think the storyline, like it's kind of that's a cool concept to say that like okay, MI6 is kind of old fashioned. Let's get rid of it, and that's like how do we like save it? That's like the conflict of the movie. But the only thing though in that is you knew the whole time that guy that shows up there was like we're gonna close you down. You're like that guy's the main bad guy. Like you know that from the beginning. It's like it's so given away.
I think I would like for once that guy just be a pawn and not realize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that would have been the better way to do. And I guess too, it's also the movie almost feels like it's ripping off Captain America 2 because that's like in a sense the same storyline there.
That's a good point. There's that part because that character's name was C. So and there's that part at the end when they kind of like all the whole Bond crew basically pans together to stop him. Which I did like that because usually it seems just kind of like Bond on his own, and then maybe you get like this is like I'm thinking Pierce Brosnan,
Felix or something maybe will show up or.
Just for a second, where this one, unfortunately, Felix wasn't in it. They mentioned him for a minute.
Yeah, they mentioned him, and then you're like, you expected to see him, and then he never showed up.
Yeah, but like they did have like Moneypenny and Q and M are kind of in the thick of the action for good. Not as much as Bond, but they're there with their own side plot going along. We're just kind of like, hello, 007, what can we do for you? Okay, very good. You know, and that's kind of all you'd get. Where this one, they were kind of like trying to help him out the whole time. Yeah, there was that part. Cool. There was that part where M had like. Let me clarify. The Ray finds M. There's a part where like C just points a gun at M. He says like, "I realize what M stands for, moron." And then that's when like C. That's when he pulls the gun on like, and I realize what C stands for. Careless. Like, but I thought he was going to say, I could have sworn. Yeah, I thought he was going to say that C stands for cunt. And just like unloads on him.
Oh, like, I thought I was like, oh my God. I'm like, because one, it's like, well, it's a British film. So they can just say cunt. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Like an American film might be. You know, it's like, oh, and it's like, they should have just did it there, right? Come on, dude. It's like, why not?
I was so sure.
It was such an opening for it. You know,
my ears perked up. I was like, and it's not like, yay, we're degrading towards women. It was just one of those things. It
was so perfect. It was so perfect. You know that probably was in the original script. And they're like, you got to cut that out.
So maybe it's in the British version. They probably cut it out for the American version, possibly. Wouldn't surprise me.
Because I know in America, cunt's like treated as a really bad word. But in England, it's not nearly as bad.
Well, for whatever reason, in a British accent, it just sounds so much more like, I don't know what it is. It just sounds, in a British or Irish accent, it just sounds funnier to me and so much more sharp, though. Just
have you ever used cunt in like real life here in America? Like, you say that word, people go like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, they take it so seriously that like you almost can't really say it. You can say fuck all you want. You can go fuck down the street, nobody's gonna care. But you say cunt, fucking like police pull over and go, sir, I'm gonna have you stop saying cunt. Stop saying that C word now. It's amazing. People take that. It's a harsh word for people in America.
It's one of those things. That's where it's just almost kind of like if someone says like if I show, it's almost kind of like the test. If they say, oh, so what kind of cartoons you make or whatever. That's why I show them Wallaby the rat or like Spunkles the rabbit, because if they can get past our only swear word, the whole thing is cunt, but it's only once. Yes. So I just see how they respond once they hear that, you know. And I like at least like 2 out of 5 times I get a gasp. I'm like, really? I mean, I know. Look, I'm not trying to sound like an insensitive dickhole, but it is one of those.
It's a word. Come on.
It is a word. I mean, there are some words I get you shouldn't say, and it's not like I'm just using that word in conversations. Hey, what's going on, you cunts? Like walking in a room. It's more of just
like you sloppy cunts, you all.
Yeah, in a British accent, it sounds okay though to me.
Well, but in America, it's just. I think it's just because people take it so fucking serious.
And it's just like I couldn't, you know. I mean, I would hardly ever call someone a cunt in real life. I think I called it. There's some like homeless chick I was walking by, and she like spit beer on me, and I called her a wrinkly old cunt. But
Did you say it in a
beyond
British
that,
accent? Like, you
no.
wrinkly old cunt.
No, and then but beyond that though, I can't think of any time I ever really used it in a way to try it. But like, I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things. I'm not trying to defend like we need to use this word more. It increases value. I don't really know
I just don't
what
know
it
why.
is.
I just don't. I can't understand why that word, for some reason, compared to like other words out there that you can say,
Hmm.
like that word takes more offense than a lot of other words that probably shouldn't be said, but they get passed by so smoothly compared to that word.
Hmm. I mean, it's not a word I just bring up in casual conversation or something, but it is one of those things though. Occasionally, it would just be like, I don't know. I just that's what like I said. I just kind of use that as a test sometimes. I see like, well, I think not trying to bring it back to us because
You
when
can't
testing
handle.
up when testing like our kind of sense of humor sometimes like okay yeah here's this cartoon we made. I always kind of go to Wallaby the Rabbit because that one it's fairly tame for the most part, whereas or Spunkles the Rabbit it's fairly tame for the most part, but then
Mhm.
you just have that one part that says cunt and it's just like darker humor throughout it, so it's just kind of like I don't know, it's just my testing ground for it.
But back to Bond, like I do like the part two, and like that guy first comes in, he's like, "My name's Charlie" or whatever. He's like, "No, your name's C." He's like, "But I don't want to be called C." He's like, "No, you're C. Good day." It's just like
Very good, sir.
they just force it upon him. Like we all get names. I'm J, he's M, she's Money Penny, and you're C, and he's Q.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That guy looked familiar. I'm sure that guy was in something, but the guy that played C, he looked very familiar. I couldn't pinpoint it exactly.
But I felt that he was just so given away instantly. You're just like you knew he was the bad guy so much from the beginning. Like that I think they could have almost worked out a way that around a little bit better. But
Hmm.
that, and then the other thing too is because I really like Batista a lot. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, one of my favorite actors. I think he's got one of the coolest life stories because that guy, like, he wasn't born into wrestling. He didn't have like sports parents or anything like that. Like, he literally just worked a regular job, worked at like he did bouncing. He worked at a bars and so on. And he just liked working out. And nothing special in life. And then all of a sudden, like about age 31 or two, he decides he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna try that wrestling thing. Why not? Like I've always liked wrestling. I just wanted to go try it. So he goes down to like one of the wrestling camps. I think it's in Florida. And just starts going from there, and then becomes this huge WWE star throughout time without being like born into the business or anything like that. Because
Hmm.
I love The Rock and all too, but he's a legacy member. I mean, his grandfather was a wrestler, his dad was a wrestler, so naturally he became a wrestler. You know what I mean? But at
Hmm.
least Batista's story, it's such a cool one that he came from like just an average Joe's position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then now to see him being in all these big movies, it makes me so happy. I was so happy when he was in Man with the Iron Fist. But now it's just like, oh man, he's in Guardians. They put him in Riddick. They put him in 007 now. I mean, come on, except for they don't give him any lines in 007 except for one. And then
Oh
the other
shit.
thing too is like they had a, they did the thing that they're like in a train, and like when you're in a train, a Bond movie, you're like, oh fuck, they're in a train. That's like one of the best things. I don't know what it is. I just love trains. I mean, it's like I think why I love Snowpiercer so much. I love snow in movies, and I love trains. You put that together, you've created like one of my favorite movies.
That's all it
But
took. Like, well, what's Snowpiercer? Well, there's this train to snow. Stop! It's already a
sold.
favorite.
They're like, well, wait a second. It gets even better. Captain America with an axe. Oh my god, trains, Captain America with an axe, and snow. But like so trains, I don't know what it is. It's just like that thing. It's just something so cool. I think of like in all the the older Bond movies, whenever there was a train, you knew you were getting a sweet action scene. It's almost like in GoldenEye, the video game. That's one of the best levels of the train. So we get the train, so it's kind of like the callback there. It's kind of like, trains. You like trains, don't you guys? Trains are cool. Come on, trains. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. And you knew there was gonna be some type of fight in the train because they're on a train. And the fight's kind of, it's kind of like Spy Who Loved Me with, Roger Moore fighting Jaws. That's what it really reminds me of. They even have the part where he jumps up and grabs and like kicks him back. So they harken to a lot of like, scenes there. Now the one thing is like when they finally throw Batista out of the train, I literally thought he was going to come back later in the movie, and then that's like that was it. That he's not going to have another action scene later on. No, no, that's it. And it's just
Well,
like,
they did throw a noose around him tied to a bunch of kegs.
yeah, but like he survived so much of these other things, and like if that was Jaws, he would have came back. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
just kind of assumed that like he was going to come back. Somehow, some way, like yeah, it was a noose of kegs, And I guess that's the thing is like they go, well, in a Daniel Craig movie, that's realistically that you would die if you went out that way. It's like, yeah, but we're watching a Bond film here, we're not watching fucking Jason Bourne, you know. And especially, you guys did say that you were hearkening back to the old style. So I just kind of, plus because with the ending action scene being kind of just like, it's just mediocre, just where like they're in the helicopter and he takes it down, it's just kind of like, oh, that was it. Like that could have been a scene where Bond was fighting Batista one more time, and you could have thrown some more sweet action in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's one of those films. As I said, I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it was definitely like a lukewarm. Like it wasn't like when I walked out of like something like GoldenEye, or walking out of even Skyfall, or even things like Tomorrow Never Dies. Like it didn't give me like that. Like, man, that was a fucking awesome movie. I can't wait to get that on VHS.
Didn't Cisco not like Tomorrow Never Dies? Which one? He didn't like World's On Now.
Cisco doesn't like. He doesn't like he doesn't like any of the Daniel Craig ones, I don't think, except for Casino Royale.
I think he likes Skyfall. I think he was cool Skyfall.
I think it was cool. He really doesn't like Quantum of Solace. That he told me that last time. That was his least favorite Bond movie. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, it's close there. It's like, you know, some of the other ones he does. There's like certain ones he doesn't like. He doesn't like The Living Daylights, which I like that one quite a bit.
Is that a key? Is that a
Timothy Dalton?
Yeah, Dalton one.
But there's really like. There's not a single Bond movie I don't like. There's a couple of them that I think are just like they're maybe not up to par. You know, I mean, they're still good movies. Maybe they're like 2.5 plus movies or so. That's how I'd probably say out of 4. But I mean, this movie obviously I'll buy it day one anyways, just for Bond collection and anything. And probably maybe if it's like Quantum of Solace, if I give it multiple watches, maybe I'll like it a little bit more too. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's cool stuff in it. It's just I don't know. I think it's just missing the pizzazz. Just something there. It was like they just needed like more moments where they just needed to pop. It was like they kind of came and then it's just not as much.
We're going to take a quick break right here. But now a word from our buddies at Painted Black Podcast. Take a listen.
I'm Pete, that's Brian.
Yeah.
There's Lou. We are Painted Black Podcast. We are Painted Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional? I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door.
Right. Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit?
No, Barney. We're not friends like that. You better go stay with the zoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife. Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer?
No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was a Fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had those stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those Santos order the pizza?
I want stink bug.
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh, yeah. How do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song from Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot.
Whoa, it's smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke. Vesuvius.
I think, well, I've been hearing this thing about Daniel Craig. I've been hearing all this stuff about, like, he's been complaining about, like, I'm never playing this character again. But then there's, like, a recent, like, I didn't even read the article. I just saw a headline, just picture Craig, and this is like, I'm not done yet, or something like that in quotes. So I'm wondering if they are coming out with, if they talked it over. I'm wondering if that was all just, like, publicity stunts just to get people like, oh, this is his last one, and just to come back around like, nah, that's just me trying to pretend to be an asshole to get people amped up for this movie. Or
I kind of wanted that too.
Because like now they're saying, oh, he might be back in the next one, or all this shit. And for a little while, what they were talking about this movie was going to be, they're talking about this was going to be a 2-part movie. I mean,
That's what Sony wanted to do. They wanted to cash in on kind of like, which is like the end thing. You know, you had the Twilight movies do it, you had Harry Potter do it, you have those Mockingjay movies do it. You know, it just seems like so many. Here we go. If the Marvel movies are going to start doing that too, everybody's trying to do the 2-parter, which I guess you could say almost starts with Lord of the Rings, in a sense.
for part 2. I want to say it started with Harry Potter. I want to say Harry Potter was the first one to do it.
I guess that's true because that's before The Hobbit. Because technically, the other Lord of the Rings they're not necessarily like the way they shot them, sort of like they were multiple part movies because they shot them like bloop, 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 all in a row. But they were 3 different books, so it made sense. Where I guess that Harry Potter was the first one. Where they're like, you know what, we can get some more money out of this last book.
Then Twilight did it. Then
the Hunger Games one's doing it right now.
Hunger Games is doing it. I want to say.
I don't know what it is. Okay, it's like I'll say.
Hobbit did that with 3 movies.
Probably the Hunger Games, one of those movies. It's probably a decent movie if you watched it, but I don't know what it is. When I see it, and maybe it's because there's so many ripoffs of it, that's I just look at it and go like, lame. I just sit there with my arms crossed, just like, this is stupid. And maybe because I'm just overblown by trailers. And then to top it off, not only do you have to see that trailer every fucking time you go to the movie theater, then you got to see something like The Maze Runner or The Scorcher or the other ones or these kids doing some shit that the kids aren't supposed to be doing. Yeah, like there's just
you're like you're the evil old guy because every of these movies have some evil old guy like, oh, you damn kids, get back here. You're that guy and like dressed in all white because it's some kind of like 70s dystopian future throwback floating around in a chair like, get them kids with them bow and arrows.
Well, it's like in the Hunger Games, like there's the main bad guy where like they're like President Douchebag, and like it's played by what's that actor's name? He's such a good one.
He's a good actor, but I'm drawing a blank.
He's with Kelly's Heroes of Clint Eastwood.
He looks
he's in
like
Animal House.
He looks like Wolf Blitzer. It's not Wolf Blitzer, but he looks like Wolf Blitzer.
I guess he sort of does. I didn't ever think like that, but like him, it's like I know that he's kind of like that bitter old fuck in there, and I'm like that's the guy I would go to see that movie for, is him.
All right, now I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second.
But I'm saying, I bet you if I sat down and watched those ones, I'd probably walk away and go, that was actually pretty good. You know, maybe not amazing, but I think just by the overblowing like advertisements of it, it makes me just want to like hate it. Like,
I can understand that. I never saw. I actually I don't really see a whole lot of ads for those movies because I go to the. I primarily now it's almost. I mean, if it's a movie I really want to see, like really want to see, and it's not playing at one of the 2 theaters within walking distance of me, then chances are I might not go see it. Before I would go see it. I mean, every once in a while there's a movie I really want to see, so I'll hop on the 38 and go down to like either the AMC 17 or the Metreon 16. So, but so whenever I go to one of these independent theaters, they got 1 or 2 trailers max, and that's actually not a bad thing. The one thing that makes me a little irritated is sometimes they won't play the big trailer that they're supposed to play at. Did they play a trailer for Captain America 3 when you went to
they didn't play that. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? I thought that they advertised that more false promises.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know if because like I technically saw it the day before it kind of like officially came out. So I don't know if that had something to do with it.
Maybe it's up by now. I don't know.
That's like kind of why I wondered, like, if you went and saw it right now, maybe it's there, but it wasn't there, and I was kind of like,
I imagine it'd be up for Star Wars, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, what was I gonna say? All right, so people kept on talking about like Hunger Games, and I was like, whatever. And then like, fine, you know what? I'll just see it because I feel like I mainly watched it. I mean, I don't try to be shitty. I don't try to be cynical towards things, but I was like, you know what? I'm kind of talking all this shit on it. I'm just going to watch it just to see if my shit talk can be justified. Because people were saying it's like a PG-13 more science fiction version of Battle Royale. And I love Battle Royale. So I was kind of like, fuck that.
And then also that was kind of like I heard things was like it harkened back even farther with like the Running Man, like it was a ripoff of that, but with like kids and all this stuff. And I think the other thing too is like this sounds like such a weird one, but the people that see when that first movie came out and they're like, dude, this is so fucking awesome, because I've read all the books and everything too. There were always like Christian people that were really into it, and I think that in itself too, like I almost like tied it in with being like a religious movie. I was like, oh no, is this gonna be like another Narnia thing where like apparently that's all like a religious like motif?
Twilight was like a Mormon thing. That's someone actually had to explain that to me. Twilight was a
I
Mormon.
did not even know that. Like,
Yeah, because
Mormons sparkle,
it was like a thing. 'Cause it
sparkle in
was
God's eye.
Well, they're saying that because the shit the shit was like what was it? I mean, I don't really know all the details, but and I only saw the first two movies, but
I didn't see any of them, so
I had a girlfriend.
All I know is, like,
I had a girlfriend at the time, so I have an excuse to why I was dragged. But anyway, what was I saying? Like the Mormon thing, it was kind of like because the lady that wrote him was Mormon, and the girl, like I want to say she told me in the books that she ended up like the whole sex scene because Mormons they try to really demonize sex. I mean, a lot of religion does, but they really try to demonize sex, and they make the sex scene in I guess whichever one they end up having whatever they end up getting married in, they try and make that really kind of like unappealing and kind of like, see, this is what it comes with. It comes with pain, and you're gonna get a baby.
I like punching her in the face like the whole time.
Something like that, yeah. Just being like, this is what it means to be a vampire.
Tough love.
It's like, I mean,
is that necessary? Yes, I have to punch you in the face.
So the way I can come, yeah. there was I mean, we sometimes just kind of complain about him, but Seth MacFarlane, when he had that like random like list of just shorts of just random like couple second shorts, or basically I think they're just like Family Guy random skits that just fell on the cutting room floor. There's one like having sex with Dick Cheney.
Oh, yeah.
There's a girl in bed. Dick Cheney's in a full suit on top of her, just punching her in the face. Was that good for you? And then she has like a single tear building up. Yes. He just keeps on punching her and keeps going.
I remember that one was hilarious. They might, because I remember he just did like a handful of these like internet ones. And he just probably extra ideas, didn't know where to do them, probably couldn't do them maybe on Fox. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I was gonna say though. So I don't know about Hunger Games having religious. I don't think Hunger Games has religious.
I don't think
stuff.
it does either, but I just noticed that it was more popular with the Christians, and I think to me, I looked at it and it was just like, it just looked like a kiddie movie, like, you know, I mean, it's PG-13, and it was about a bunch of like teens and so on. So to me, it wasn't just that appealing. I was like, I don't know, like where's my old men like shooting guns and spouting out one-liners? Like, how is this going to appeal to me?
I will say,
like, yeah, they're in it. They're the bad guys, and it's like, oh, so.
Well, I will say that Woody Harrelson is the teacher.
I thought he was a bad guy on it too.
No, he's the guy that teaches them how to kill.
Well, there we go. As long as Woody Harrelson's like, you're going to eat that fucking hot dog.
Yeah, you hungry? I'll show you some Hunger Games. You got to fight me for that hot dog.
This bow right here? This bow actually shoots itself.
He just like picks up a hot dog, chucks it in the middle of the room. Y'all hungry, right? Eat that hot dog.
Yeah, like the Hunger Games for nothing.
You got to get through me first.
It's my Woody Harrelson out of the furnace. I would be sold instantly on that film.
He's just that same sloppy fuck wearing like the yellow workout shirt that has the overall like cut on the sides, just like bald, like single earring, just kind of like, y'all hungry for some action? You come to the right place. Like no, I could honestly say, don't hold judgment. Any listeners, don't hold judgment. But I can honestly say I just to justify my shit talking, I watched Hunger Games 1, and it was actually good. It wasn't like
I assume that's what it is, but I think it's just one of those ones. I just got like this like sort of bias that kind of comes. And I just think it's from the over-bombardment, and it has been for like the last like 4 years or 5 years or whatever. It just feels like it's constantly in your face every single day. Everywhere you go, there's like a fucking billboard outside. You open a magazine, there's an ad there. You go to the fucking movie theater, and there's another one there. You know, it's like no matter what, it's like it's just everywhere. And then if it's not there, then it's the Maze Runner, or it's some other one, or it's that 100 show, or it's all these other things that are pretty much the same thing over and over and over again. You know, where it's just like a bunch of kids are trying to save the world, and you're just kind of like, God, I don't know. It's one of those ones like maybe give these like if they were kids, it's different. Like I don't know if it was kind of like Hook or something like that, where you know a little bit more whimsy going on. But I don't know. I think it's just a teenager one. I mean, I understand. Like it's not made for us. It is totally made for people that are probably in like 10 to 20 years old. That's like the target audience, and then some of his parents too, because they're books. Mostly books always seem to appeal. It's like Harry Potter. I feel
old people read books.
Well, I always felt that Harry Potter appealed like way more to people's mothers than it did to kids. Because most kids are kind of like, I don't know, Mom, Harry Potter's like, it's kind of like, okay, well, Harry Potter's great. It's a fantastic story. And then they start fucking reading it. They're like, okay, Mom, you can go finish reading those. Like, I got cooler things to look at. Fucking Lord of the Rings came out around the same time period. Like, that's like the man's version of it.
I feel like what ended up happening is something to that effect. I think parents would probably read it to their kids, or they would read through it first to make sure it was okay for the kids to read, and they'd probably get hooked into it. And by parents, I mean primarily moms. So
not dad. Like, I never saw a dad like lean over like, "Hey Billy, did you read this Harry Pothead?" No. I was like, "It's really good." In fact, it makes me want to smoke some pot. Dad, I don't think that's what the book's about at all.
Don't fucking take this from me, Billy. It's been a long time since Woodstock. I've missed it.
I just need an excuse to smoke. That's all I need.
Woodstock and like Dire Straits concerts. It's been a while. Been waiting on that reunion tour. It hasn't happened.
Exactly. I mean, I was lucky to get like a Weird Al cover, but it's not the same.
It's my one place I could do it at. Dad, you don't need to read a fucking book called Harry Pothead in order to enjoy smoking pot. Don't fucking take this from me, Billy! Dad, my name's Stan.
But, no, yeah, well, I assume that Hunger Games thing is actually, if you sat down and watch it, it's good and stuff. It's kind of like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's one of those ones, I think if you look at it first, you go, that's fucking retarded looking. And you watch the movies, and they're actually pretty entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, I like them all. But it is one of those ones, I think at first glance, like... It is like if you took Harry, if somebody said like I've never seen Harry Potter before, I never even heard of Harry Potter or whatever like this, and you show them a trailer of it, they'd be like, "Are you fucking serious? Do I need to slap the shit out of you right now?" You're like, "No, it's actually pretty good." Like,
well, I think something that happened with Harry Potter is that came out when we were kids. If you just suddenly dropped that on us now, be like, what the fuck is this magic boy shit? And now as it goes on, though, it actually matured with its audience.
Yeah, which is
so. I think because the first two Christopher Columbus movies are just kind of like, oh, okay, they're not looking back. I mean, if you watch them now, they probably wouldn't be amazing, but probably be enjoyable.
Yeah, they're still enjoyable.
But I think they all got better as they went on. So
I think the best section of it's like the middle movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think
the Goblet of Fire
they're
is
still
best.
good, but you're kind of like, okay, when's it gonna be over?
The Goblet of Fire, I think, is the best one.
Yeah, I think 3, 4, and I don't know about 5. I can't really remember, but 3 and 4 I remember being like my two favorites of them all.
5, 6 is kind of where they kind of merge.
They're kind of like a blur. Yeah.
But I will say though, as far as the Hunger Game one goes, I will say what's kind of interesting about the first one is, yeah, it is a bunch of kids, but it's a bunch of kids killing each other. And what I thought was creative about it is when they show the deaths, because I just thought they'd always have a bunch of cutaways, which there are moments where there's cutaways. What they do is it's still like it's kind of hard to see, but it still kind of like gives you, because I think that's the problem with some PG-13 movies. It kind of it softens it up a little too much, so it doesn't feel like there's any gravity to it. There'll be these moments where the kids start fighting each other, start killing each other, and there is some parts with actual R-rated violence, but the camera is so shaky and moving around that I guess that they slid by the rating board. So there is a moment where some kids are all fighting each other, and you could totally tell one of those kids just got his leg cut off or his arm cut off, but it was so shaky. So, and I just thought that was kind of an interesting way to go about it. You can't see it as clearly if it was a normal movie, but the fact they did that for a PG-13 movie, I'm going to give it credit. And it was one of those movies where, I mean, it was enjoyable. The second one got better because I saw the second one was on Netflix. I'm like, oh, okay, it's on Netflix. Let's see what this is all about.
Was the second one called like Flaming something or Hunger Fire?
The second one, I think it's Catching Fire.
Yeah, something fire.
I think that's the second one. What the next 2 or 3, however many are left, whatever those are called.
I think they're on 4 right now that comes out soon.
I think they have part 3. There's 4. I think there's 3 or 4 books, and whatever the last book is, that's getting cut into 2. So,
yeah,
I don't know which one is. I saw 2 on Netflix. It was actually good. I don't know if I need to go
on Netflix.
They had number 2 on Netflix. I don't know if number 1 is. It was good though. I mean, they were both good movies. 2 was better than 1, and it's almost kind of like what they almost kind of follow the whole like media circuit thing. So basically, what happens? They got the rich district, they got all the poor districts beneath them. And because they all had a big uprising at some point and they lost the war, so to put them in their place, so once a year, once every few years, they grab a couple kids out of a random draw, make them go into this death battle thing, and then they parade them around like it's a reality TV show. So, and they almost got to play to the audience to a certain extent, and kind of like force, like pretend like they're in a relationship and all that, to try and get like.
It is a complete ripoff of The Running Man.
Of the actual book or the movie?
Both.
Because look,
like,
it's enjoyable. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's better than Running Man. I'm not even gonna say anything like that. But it's an enjoyable movie. So.
Because that's the only thing is like that genre, like, because The Running Man is one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger ones. It's in my top 5 favorite list of his. But I remember because there was a time period where they kept making this before even like the Hunger Games came out. They were making a bunch of kind of like Running Man, knockoffs. And you watch the first couple and you're like, these are kind of cool. And then after a while you kind of go, you know what? I've seen so many of these, like, there's a bunch of guys on an island and they have to fight for survival while cameras are rolling like it's a TV show. And you're kind of like, okay. There was a Stone Cold one they had that was like that. I think it was called The Condemned or something.
Yeah.
And, it was okay. It wasn't bad. But after, I think there's a point where you watch like the original kind of version of those movies and you're like, that's the most amazing idea ever. Such a fan. I would love to see something else like it. So you watch another one like it and you go, this is great. I mean, like perfect example is like Battle Royale. It's like, it's like, The Running Man, but it's doing something way different and everything like that. It works really good. And then you kind of see it like more and more and more, and then you almost get burnt out on that genre. Because that was something that I thought was like one of the coolest things ever. Like almost to a point where I'm like, dude, if I would love to make a movie that was in that style. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, you kind of get points like, oh, okay, so been there, done that, seen that.
I will say the second one, I mean, I guess what I heard, I haven't seen it. I heard by the third and fourth, basically, they're no longer doing that whole like, oh, it's we're doing part of this whole media circuit thing. It's more of like, no, we're full on in war now.
Yeah, I think that's what it looks like in the trailer and so on. But
and the first one is definitely that. Second one is a little bit of that, as well as some of the kind of drama. I'm not gonna lie, I don't need to go out and own these movies, but I can say the first two are good,
but they're worth watching.
I'd say th're good movies. It's not like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, it's good. I mean, I don't feel the need to own it, but it's good.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just gonna watch the dislike bar go down on YouTube or on or something like that.
Like our younger listeners that I don't know that or like our mother listeners, because it seemed like always older people. Even though there's a lot of older guys. I remember there was a guy who was like at the gym or whatever, and he's probably like in his 50s. He was like, "Oh, these books are great," and he's like just big construction looking guy. It's just like, oh, okay. Construction and birds are awesome. You mean the Mockingjay? Yeah, Mockingjay bird, whatever. Fuck you.
Oh, right.
I just need a reason to smoke pot. All older men, like, they pick up kids' books just for a reason to smoke weed.
Makes it enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they show Jennifer, or I almost said Jennifer Connelly, like, Jennifer Lawrence's tits in the newest one. Like, what? Like, yeah, they're going to fucking show it. Like, I know it. I saw it on the internet. In the book, that's all it's about. It's like tits everywhere. Just like those Harry Potter ones. It was just dick everywhere. You're like, you reading the same book? I don't know. I had a different imagination, I guess. It just seemed like Harry and Ron were fucking each other left and right.
That's what I assumed it was about. I'm like, man, this is Bozy for a kid's book.
That's very proactive right there. I like that.
He just has like a Kindle, just like, oh, you're just downloading like fan fiction. Like, oh, well, either way.
Anyway, it's the free one. That's why I saw it. Like, I didn't want to pay $10.99 for it. I saw one that was free. Harry Potter was the one I chose.
Look, if I could choose to pay $14.99 for a book that changed for a book that changed the minds of millions and kind of like captured like imaginations and pushed children's storytelling further, or I can get it for $1 and watch Ron suck off Harry. Or read about it and imagine, It's got to be a similar experience to some extent, right?
Yeah, who got the better deal is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, the whole thing about like, oh yeah, well I could read the books. I could also just watch the movies instead. I could do that.
Well, that's kind of like how Harry Potter happened too. It's like people were like, oh, I got to read the books, and then all of a sudden the movies were coming out faster than expected, because there's one about like every year. So it was like people mostly read like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 at the max, and then from that point on, like it seemed like half the people stopped reading.
Yeah, it almost kind of happened with me. I read the first book, and then like I had 2 and 3. But then I heard the movies were coming out. I'm like, oh, okay. It saves me the trouble of fucking reading. I mean, I guess there's all this other plot points they don't have. Like, there's whole, like, civil rights stuff going on with, like, elves, and there's a lot more deeper things going on, which I guess would probably make a...
getting civil rights. Go scrub that toilet, boy.
But Dobby wants to go scrub the toilet!
Smacks him upside the head.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt bad for you. Really feel bad for like Dobby when he in like number 2 when he just straight up like just kicks him down the stairs and no, you know.
I know you feel so bad for this poor creature. Just like
that's and then, like at the end, because like he apparently popped up in the books several times. I really think Warner Brothers and whatever like British studio was trying to keep Dobby out of it. Like. This is the Jar Jar of this thing. We don't want to put him in here, even though he kept on popping in the books in like scenes here and there. And then like he has a very big part in like the last book. There's no way around this. And there's that part where Dobby is a free elf. Like the part when he does that, you almost just imagine he just like flips him off right before. Right before Dobby dies, like, you know, he just has this fucking knife. Like, Hobby's never been happier. Like, flipping the bird, and when they actually bury him, they just have this hand sticking out.
It's just like it's stiff. Popping out of the ground and everything. There's just like a little grave. Like, I guess when they put a headstone on there, he's got the bird flipping out. We all know who that is.
Dobby would have wanted it that way, Harry. You're right, Ron. You're right.
You want to fuck on his grave? Oh, I bet Dobby always liked to watch.
That's the version that guy got.
The
$1.99. Harry Butthole and the Sorcerer's Bone.
Harry Pothead and like the cock goblet of fire.
Cock goblet of fire.
What the fuck is the third one called?
The Gimp of Azkaban.
The Gimp of Azkaban.
The Gimp of Azkaban. The Piss Prison. Let's see.
What was the fourth? See, I already forgot what the fuck they're called after about the first couple.
The Deathly Hollow Butthole. With the next,
Deathly Butthole.
The Deathly Hollow, but Deathly Hollows, Deathly Hollow Butthole. I don't know. I'm reaching.
That's okay. Like, you know. Did you ever wonder if they're just gonna like make like at some point, you know, Warner Bros. Gonna be like, you know what, Harry Potter's still a little bit popular.
Oh fuck yeah, they already are. They're doing like
I know she's doing like, but you know, like when are they gonna have the one where it's like, okay, Harry Potter, he's 25 years old now, you know, like.
I can see, you know what, like apparently J.K. Rowling, I heard that she's doing like a play about Harry Potter in the latest days. I can see that happening eventually. How much time before they just done dropping like truckloads of money on her front doorstep? Like, okay, another Harry movie. It's fine. Or another book or whatever. I mean, I got a feeling, I mean, don't take this as me like being shitty or cynical towards things I like, but I feel like once Star Wars comes out, anything can get a sequel. Anything. And, you know, like, well, of course, Star Wars is fucking huge. But, I mean, Star Wars was that sacred cow where it was just like, this happened. It stays that way. We can do prequels. Well, okay, so it's before, it's not after. So, okay, yeah, we can do prequels. And then we're actually getting to that point where, oh, my God, we actually are getting a sequel to a movie that came out like 30 years ago.
Yeah, because that almost never happens. Because nowadays, instead of doing sequels, they just do reboots, and it's almost good that like Disney didn't say like, okay, guess what we're gonna do? We're just gonna reboot 4, 5, and 6. You know, they could have done that. Which
when I first heard they were like, it was like in the same response when I was reading that Disney bought Star Wars. I was reading Disney bought Star Wars. I'm like, reboot, and they're making Episode 7. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it throws you off because you don't think about it. Now, I will say Disney definitely whores out Star Wars like nobody's business. I mean, there was a bag of apples at the store that had Darth Vader on it. Now, there's two things going through my mind at the same time. I'm like, one, a bag of apples with Darth Vader on it, that's definitely going to sell me that bag of apples over somebody else's apple. I mean, I'm not going to lie because, I mean, who doesn't want that bag of apples with Darth Vader on it? But at the same time, you kind of go...
Everyone's favorite space Nazi.
Yeah, you're kind of going like, at the same time, it's like, dude, how much stuff is Star Wars going to fucking appear on? I mean, like, there is, like, a copious amount of merchandise out there of Star Wars on, which, I mean, it's cool in some ways, but, I mean, there's makeup with Star Wars on. Like, when the fuck did you ever, like, think that would happen? Like, there's a big banner with, like, you know, L'Oreal, like, Star Wars makeup, you know?
there always was that level of Star Wars stuff. Like, the Star Wars Band-Aids, they had Yoda shampoo.
Well,
That was
they
always
had
there.
it, but I guess it wasn't to this extreme. I mean, yeah, there was always like you could always get neat things like that, but I'll tell you this: I never saw Star Wars apples before.
Yeah, that's true. I
Like,
know
mean,
that
like,
they had
like yeah, you
they
would
had
get like
Dark Side
macaroni and
Pop-Tarts.
cheese and so on, and yeah, you'd get like Pop Tarts. It
I remember
almost
they
felt
had
like
like Revenge of the Sith came out. It was like Sith berry. It was like a black frosting with like red drizzle on it. And it was just kind of like the official Pop Tart of Darth Vader. And it was just like I remember it was just kind of like this set because I remember the whole thing about Revenge of the Sith. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still like that movie, but there was this whole thing of just kind of like this is the tragedy. This is where everything goes bad. This is how he get his fucking Pop Tarts, kids.
yeah, it really was. Well, because this was once I think 'cause with the other Star Wars ones, it's almost like they picked just a couple things to like merchandise with. Where now it just feels like it's like everywhere. I mean, it's a good thing that I like Star Wars so much because I'll say this: if it was like something like the Hunger Games going back to like this, I would be like, oh, fucking Hunger Games apples now, and fucking Hunger Games makeup, and Hunger Games Pop-Tart. Like, if I didn't like Star Wars so much, I would be like, it'd be one of those ones like I would not want to go out in like the world if there was something I disliked. Just seeing so much of it everywhere.
I don't know why I watched it. I sent you the link. Did you see that stupid Fox News thing I sent you?
No, I remember that coming up, and then like I think just too much time passed, and I forgot about it.
It's not that important, but basically, it was one of those things where I haven't in a long time just wanted to break my phone while watching it, and it was basically. It was like this. It was just kind of like Fox. Someone on Facebook, I think it was actually Jeremy, who's been on the podcast before, posted this. Like, this is my biggest problem with Fox News right now, and he posted. And it was basically someone. It was basically like it was more like the entertainment part of Fox News or whatever. And it was three people. There's like the main guy who looked like your standard old Fox News Republican. Mm-hmm. Then there was like a blonde chick, like in her 20s, and then a guy who basically looked kind of like, I'm the nerd, they just brought in. And they had like, everybody was like, what is the big deal with this Star Wars thing? Oh my God. I mean, I'm glad they liked their little movie. It's cute, but, and the guy's like, yeah, what's with these fucking nerds? Can't get fucking laid? I don't fucking get it. I mean, it's always the same thing.
Look, I got a boner right now. Just starts walking around with it. Like, look at it.
Look at it. Just strutting. Look at it.
Just starts fucking the lady and then smacks her to the side like, I'll fuck a guy on TV. I don't give a fuck.
This is Fox News. This is okay here.
He's a nerd. He doesn't count as a man.
Yeah. And basically, and the guy's just trying to talk over it. It's like, look. No. Here's the thing. This movie trumped a lot. Those are prequel. Like, well, the other Star Wars movies didn't do so good, did they? Well, those are the prequels.
Well, technically,
they didn't make a lot of money.
Copious amount of money still, but...
I know, but whenever the guy would start talking, they all start talking over him again. He's like, oh my God, no, this is so dumb. It was just like, it was so like one of those things like...
And these people are on TV.
There was the one guy defending it, and he was trying to force a smile, be like, well, he's talking to the guy, well, you and me, we'll go see it. Like, Carly, I'm not seeing this. I'm not watching it. Yeah, I literally just wanted to just... I almost to the guy because he was letting it all roll right over him, just like, yeah, well, and every time he started to talk, they interrupt him. I really wanted to be like that part, like,
I just want to have a job here. I wish I was on CNN.
I just wanted to be like that part, like in fucking like Marlon Brando in Godfather Part 1, where the one guy's like, he's going to put me out of business if I don't do this part of the movie. And I had a big part. And Marlon Brando just grabs him. He's like, be a man! Quit your crying! Be a man! I just want to do that to this guy right here. Just like, be a man! Stick up for Star Wars! Say how you feeling!
Exactly. It's just one of those ones that's funny when you get people like that. I mean, like, once again, you don't have to like, Star Wars, but when some people talk like they talk like, what is this thing? Like, like, you kind of go, dude, where the fuck have you been? Like, seriously? And how the fuck did you get a job on TV? Like, there was a chick, I think it was like, it just happened to, like, I was walking by and it was on TV and it was like on The View. And one of the ladies was like, I've never seen Star Wars before. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing on TV? Like, I literally have, like, that's what I feel like. If somebody in real life says that, it's already fucking weird as is. But I kind of, okay, I can get it. Maybe you just didn't see it. But it's like, when your job is to be on fucking TV and you're not watching fucking movies, like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always some movies that they might be these really big movies and you just didn't happen to see it because there's so many movies and only so much time. But something like Star Wars, it's just like, what did you do for the last 40 years?
No, I totally understand, and I totally agree with that. I mean, like you said, I know one or two people that have not seen Star Wars, and they're totally smart, fully functional people. But there is that thing you are taken back for a minute, like, what? And you almost think if you are in television and have some media-based job, you would, like, in some way fucking, like, have come across it, at least one of them,
Yeah, it's just like, well, I mean, like, I know that, like, yeah, sometimes a host that's not an actor, but it's not that far off from being an actor, you know what I mean? And what the fuck is being an actor all about? It's about like performance. So you assume you watch like a copious amount of movies or whatnot. But I think some people, they just literally stumble into those jobs. Like, and I think
this guy looked like he'd been there for years, and he's just been like, well, I'm on the tenure program, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he didn't look like he gave a fuck. He just looked like your standard Fox News anchor, just belligerent, just kind of like, it's old, it's old, it's not old, it's new, and there's subtitles to it, so it offends me. And like the girl was just basically just kind of like, I was told I was hot, so I'm kind of here, just had that kind of vibe to her.
Yeah, like, because I noticed that, like, in Fox News, that's, like, really what they do. That's, like, the two type of anchors that you pretty much always see is you see the crusty old Republican, and then you just see some, like, dumb, like, lady. It's just like, you're hot, can you read? Yeah, good enough. That's all we need you for.
Can you read? I can read-ish. That's all right, yeah, that'll work.
We'll put a microphone in your ear. Somebody will, can you repeat? Let me say that. Yeah, okay. Whatever the guy says in your ear, you just say... Same way he said it. Monkey see, monkey do.
I can do that. I kind of get that vibe sometimes. Every once in a while, you'll get like some of the anchors on Fox News, like just kind of like to the point, like you get the ladies. They're just kind of like, I just don't understand why so many people are. I mean, look, all right, I don't want to. Actually, I'm just going to avoid that subject because that's too slippery a slope, and that's a whole other subject right there. I was going to say
there's like dumb anchors out there because I'll say that.
Dumb anchors. So I'll say this.
There literally is, because some of those anchors, I think that this is how an anchor is. I'm like, this is not to be like anchor bias, but like I think what an anchor is good at. They're good at two things. They're good at looking good and reading fucking lines. That's about it. They are not actors like improv actors. Nor, because sometimes the second that they say like, hey, what's your actual feelings about it? That's when you get these people and you go, oh, they're fucking retarded. You know what I mean? Like if somebody didn't write their lines for them already, they have no idea what's going on. And I think that's how a lot of those ones appear. It's just like, that's like their two qualities, looking good and reading.
There was like I was going to say for a second, I was going to make an example, and I was going to use like a particular topic, but it's just going to be a slippery slope, and we just don't need to fucking do that. But every once in a while, there'll be something to the effect of like, they'll almost be like debating something against their interests. You know what I mean? Something that is totally against their interest in the long term of the day. Like, I don't get it. Why do what's the big deal? It's just like, oh my God, stop. I know they're paying you a lot of fucking money to say this stupid shit, but just stop right now, Yeah,
it's just one of those ones. And I think that's true. Is like they get hired and they have, in a sense, no media background. It's like, or not. Let's rephrase it. Not media, but no like artistic, like film background or art.
I saw one of those raw things I saw one of those raw things the other day, which was this. It was like, I don't know how old it is, but there was it was extra footage. I guess it didn't go on air, but it was just extra footage from like a news anchor somewhere. And he's a British news anchor. And you know how like BBC news anchors always come across. They always come across super smart. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the British accent. Maybe I'm just impressed very easily with British accents. But
I think it's also too because the BBC, this is the difference. It's not a corporation like as CNN or Fox News is. BBC is just like PBS where it's paid for by the public.
And I think this may have been BBC, but it was some British broadcast. And then he's kind of like, there's a guy, he's like practicing, he's out like, and so he says, moments away, we will get the verdict from the court inside. Just like, one second. Can we possibly? We got a minute. Do we have to do this outside? You don't hear what the other guy's saying on the line. He says, I'm asking, it's fucking cold out here. Yeah. Well, I know. He's like, do my job. Did you fucking hear that, Reggie? He's looking at like this cameraman. Do my job. Easy for you to say. You're in a fucking studio. do my job and say the news. Okay, here's the fucking news. Today he puts his arms behind his back and just rants for 2 straight minutes. Just like, and the reason why this deal won't go down today because they didn't perform for fellatio in order to get to the, get the Middle East peace or whatever. I remember what it was. He was some very specific, precise things. He says like, and America pursues its war in the Middle East for, it just goes down, just like, be a big oil, just rips, just flat out loses his shit. He says like, and the reason why the prime minister's not doing nothing is because he is a fucking twat. Now back to you, Jason. Just look up like British anchorman loses it or something like that. It's actually pretty enjoyable. And then he just like fucking rips his headphones off, just like stomps in the background, just like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm back. It's a long day. All right, so we're on in 1, 2. Oh, so moments from now,
That's pretty funny though. That's just like how you wish the news was. It was just people just said it as it is. They didn't have no fucking PC bullshit, no fucking like, okay, it's got to appeal to the most widest audience possible. Like, no, just say it like it is. Don't treat us like children. I don't know. That's one of the reasons like I never watch news because it just makes me angry anyways.
I always feel like, I'm not sure what it is. I feel like every day I'm finding out of a new school shooting or something. Like there was somebody in Merced that just went on a stabbing spree, just ran around stabbing people. And I don't know if there's anything more to it because it just happened the day before yesterday, but just went on this crazy stabbing spree and then got taken down by the police.
It's just, that's all it seems like what the news is just filled out with nowadays too. And I think if they didn't report on that stuff, you wouldn't hear it very much. Now I know that there's that also double thing. It's like, well, somebody's got to report on this stuff or this stuff gets, swept under the carpet like, in the olden days. But I think that's one of those ones when you focus on the negative, it almost breeds more negativity. If you focused on positive, then I think it would be a more positive place.
We've all learned from Ghostbusters too.
Yeah, exactly. But
we don't need all those like evil ooze coming out of the ground and make us all evil and mad.
But no, does it still happens in, the world today? We still don't get, like, the news is just like the few times I always see it, it's just that's all it is just like negative, fluff piece, end. Mm-hmm. That's always what happens. Just bad. Okay, here's this cute little dog, and it's over.
A cat was saved out of a tree. The end. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, after 45 people were stabbed, murdered, raped, shot, killed, burned. Who the fuck knows? And the city's stealing money, and this is going on. And there's a hurricane going on, and all this stuff. He was like, okay. Can it be a happy hurricane?
A hurricane of happiness.
Yeah, like, let's
people get sucked in. It's just playing. There's just like disco lights. There's party music.
Got a big smile.
Oh, this hurricane ain't so bad.
Yeah. Or like,
sucky you leave it. It's just like, oh, fuck, back into reality. Just going like hurtling to your death. While you're in that hurricane, fuck, it was happy and good times.
Yeah.
There's donuts and hot dogs floating around. Woody Harrelson was willing to share them. And Woody Harrelson was willing to share the hot dog.
Exactly.
Give me the fucking hot dog, because I'm going to give you this one. Oh, thank you, Woody Harrelson. You're welcome.
Go and eat that fucking hot dog. Oh, thanks.
I really want that.
Just him selling hot dogs like in New York City. Here's your fucking hot dog. Oh, thanks. You fucking eat that hot dog. Just takes it, shoves it in his throat.
I just want it to be like he's staring, like as he's like someone's eating it. He's just staring at him blankly, just like, eat that fucking hot dog. He's just like staring like sternly. Yeah, like that. Wow, like that. Is that fucking good? Yeah, it's really good. What the fuck's that supposed to mean? Oh well, I mean, you did a good job. Thank you. You're good. You did your job really well. Champlain, I don't know how to do my fucking job, but usually, no, thank you. The fuck you thanking me for? It's just like, oh, okay, this is
It's fucking hot dog.
Maybe we got off the wrong foot. Maybe we got off the wrong foot. Then he says that line, "This hot dog cooks itself." What's so fucking funny?
I literally think that is probably one of the best openings in a film in like the past like 10 to 15 years. Just I don't know what it is like.
You and me were the only ones laughing in the theater in that part.
I think it's
How many
Woody
people are
Harrelson.
going to call back to that? How many people call back to Out of the Furnace? And how many people actually are going to remember, give me that fucking hot dog?
Well, Out of the Furnace is already like such a forgotten film, and it only came out like 2 years ago, but nobody fucking saw it except for me and you. But like, it's just one of those ones like, and it's such like it's one of those movies like, it almost is like a downer movie, but there's something I just like about it so much that it almost feels like uplifting all at the same time. It's such a, it's a weird like thing. Like, I guess that's kind of like the same way like The Wrestler is another movie like that. I really like that movie, and it's almost kind of a downer movie, but it almost like in the long run, like some people might go like, man, that ends like a sour note. I'm like, I don't know. Like it feels like at the end of the movie he got to
It's
a
a
better
fitting
place.
ending.
Yeah,
It's a fitting ending, and it's kind of like
because
he
there's
died
some
doing
movies
what he
that
loved.
end and you're like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like I feel horrible now. I don't get, even though those movies should be those kind of endings, I don't feel like that. They almost have a relieving ending. I mean, even in the movie too, it's like you got fucking Eddie Vedder going, "Release me," and you're like, he's been released. He's finally free from the suffrage he had here on Earth. And even in The Wrestler too, it's just like that one. The one place where people liked him and respect him is in the wrestling ring. It's the perfect place for him to go.
Well, I think that in context, I watched it again. I think that the Christian Bale character actually lives at the end of.
It's
at the end
mysterious. He's sitting there and he's kind of bleeding out, and you don't know what's going on.
Does he look like he's bleeding out? Does he just look like he has like? Is he bleeding out?
Well, he's sitting in that chair, and it just kind of looks like there's some type of blood going down, but you can't really tell what's going on. Like maybe he just cut himself. Maybe he's just like, he went to like put his hand, he was working on the car or something, and he got cut, and all of a sudden he's sitting in the kitchen. That happened to be where it ends of the movie. I mean, it's not like a definitive, like, you can't say if he's alive or dead. You can kind of just guess.
I'm not entirely sure myself. I think either way, it kind of is fitting. Just like, okay, so he did that. Here's the two ways I view it. He killed Woody Harrelson, small town. Like, that Woody Harrelson was a bad influence in the town, was always causing trouble, always forcing hot dogs down people's throats and causing, like,
Forrest
fight
Whitaker,
clubs.
even though he said, don't do it, he was like, well, you did it, I guess.
So it's either kind of like, okay, so you just, so it's kind of like, all right, so you killed him, but you know what, small town thing, probably viewed as a hero, so don't worry, you're not going to go to jail, so now you got the rest of your life to live out. Or it's just kind of like, oh, well, the hardest time of your life has just passed. Or it is, chances are, you're going to jail, back to jail, so instead he kills himself before that has to happen. So yeah, I think it'd be
there's
either
multiple
or.
ways it could go.
Because he is just kind of lying there. I wasn't sure. He was just kind of lying there with his eyes closed, and I can't tell if he's bleeding on his arm or what, because it's very dimly lit. I just almost want to ask the director. Like, he's probably got that a few times. Maybe I want to just look at the director on Twitter and ask him, like, is Christian Bale dead at the end of the movie?
Yeah, because there's not really like a definitive answer. And don't give me that bullshit like it's all in your, whatever you want to be. Like,
Fuck you, dude. It's your job.
Yeah, it's like I didn't write that movie. But no, and there's another, like Snowpiercer's another one too, where it's like, some people watch that and they go, man, that was a dark downer ending, and it's just like,
ending makes that movie.
And I almost kind of go, I guess. I mean, like, for some reason, I guess it didn't cross my mind, but.
Well, Snowpiercer's a movie. I can't remember the last time a movie, I mean, I'm not saying this in a bad way, like, toyed with my emotions so much. And the reason I say that is because it's like, there is that part where the whole movie you're going like, yeah, kill the fuck out of the bad guys. Kill the fuck out of these rich bad guys. Yeah, do that. Mm-hmm. And then when he gets to Ed Harris, for a while, you see him as a bad guy. And then he's like, look, we got to do this to sustain. We got to do this to keep people alive. Some people got to die so we can go on. Does it seem wrong? Yeah. Does it seem to? But it's the only way we can do it. And for a minute, because like, what's his Captain America? Chris Evans is about to take his place. He's about to take his place. And he finds out the whole thing was just like orchestrated from the beginning, even from his friend. And it's kind of like one of these things like, for a minute in that movie theater, I was sitting there, I don't want to sound like a dirty Republican like Ed Harris was in the movie, but there was this period where I was kind of like, you know what? I mean, I don't really like it, but in this context, I kind of see where it's coming from. And then that's when Luna, or is Luna or Yuna, I don't remember what her name was, comes in and she has the vision, and like, cause she's like, no, like I think his name was Harris or Harrison, something like that. She's like, we gotta go. Then he just like gently pushes her away, like this is where I'm at now. It's just like, oh fuck. But then she gets this look on her eyes because she has a psychic power shit. And then she opens the door, and you see, in order to maintain this society, what it entails, and that is putting a small boy down into a boiler room, digging muck out with his bare hands.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of like
the machine that was supposed to do it broke down.
And just the idea of just kind of like, in order to sustain the society, we got to do this. And maybe it's just best just to break it down, you know?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, let's just destroy it. What's the point of going on if this is what we're going to be?
Yeah, and I never had a movie kind of like, because usually I watch a movie, I'm kind of not for, I mean, that's only like within a quick scene, but I was literally kind of like, for a minute, you know, I kind of see where he's sort of coming from. I mean, I don't like all the shit, but I sort of understand. And then once I saw that, though, I was like, oh fuck, no, you got to burn the, like, it's almost kind of like that part, like, okay, we got to burn this motherfucker down. It's kind of like that part.
Well, there is that kind of thing where you're kind of like, there is those tough decisions in life where it's almost like a sacrifice has to be made for like the rest to go on, and there is that thing. But then you kind of see it's like there's got to be a better way than this. Like if this is what it is, it's just not worth it. Let's jump out and go fight polar bears.
Yeah, which I thought that this movie was almost kind of like, because I'm used to seeing a black and white, where this one seems a little bit more gray. Now there is one thing that crosses my mind at the end of that. They crash and they see a polar bear.
All I picture is if there was 5 more minutes in that movie, all it'd be is just like the poor little black kid and the Asian girl just getting eaten by that polar bear.
I kind of imagine that for a minute.
Just the end of humanity.
I kind of imagine that for a second. Here, you're right. That's like, that crossed my mind, because that polar bear is like implying that life is out there, that you can survive out in this time if this polar bear is out there.
Polar bear is like, it's not every day you get to see a nice warm meal come walking up the snowbank for you.
Yeah, that polar bear just turns and look. It's supposed to be like all majestic. The polar bear is like, what the fuck is that? You know? But I bet it's more one of those...
gets like a shotgun out, shoots him. Like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen in this movie. There's fucking...
It's one of the Coca-Cola bears. It's sentient.
Yeah. He's all hopped up on Coke right now.
That's where Snowpiercer takes place, and it takes place in the Coca-Cola bear world. That's what they do. That's what they do to all the humans. They knock over like all these supply trains and all that and steal. There's more than one train. Knock over the Coca-Cola train and just like that's where they get it all from. But I imagine that's because they always get all these. Where the fuck do these bears get all like this Coca-Cola? I imagine they have to kill the fucking driver.
Yeah, there's somebody that they have to like take down.
But I will say though, that part though, I imagine they got out of there, and maybe given other things that happen in the movie, I can believe it. It was off in the distance. The bear just like wanders off or something, like it does sometimes in movies, all majestic. Like real life, they're fucking dead. I know, but I'm going on the hope and the optimism that the bear just saw him and just kind of wandered off.
You're going on that world where Batista goes flying out of a train and comes back to fight Bond once again.
I mean, that didn't bother me as much, but you can totally do that. Yeah, like that's what happens when he leaves with the girl at the end of the movie. Batista comes out. He says like, "We got some unfinished business." Just pulls up. They just straight up fucking box right there in the middle of the street of London.
Yeah, just like this bare knuckle boxing thing, just as brutal as possible.
And then then he just like it ends like a big fucking way, like and Batista gets impaled on like a pole with the British flag on it, and he's just like
a catchy one-liner.
He's like, then he looks over at the girl. Time for lunch.
It's kind of funny. We're talking about like these. There's like these 3 movies that we really like, and technically we hate these type of endings. I notice where like when it's like you decide, but like for some reason all 3 of these movies are all really fucking amazing movies.
I don't think that like Snowpiercer is a you decide. I think it's just kind of like because the way it's not like playing like.
Well, let's say this. It doesn't tell you what happens, so technically it is a you decide because it's either does the bear get them, does the cold get them, or do they get away? Or do they thrive?
I'm saying it's kind of
Snowpiercer too.
I'm saying it's kind of up in the air. Like what ends up happening is they crash, the music is faintly uplifting. It's unfinished, but it's uplifting. You see a bear, so you know you can survive out there. Now I think if it was one of those things like one of those kind of like I don't think it's like they died right there. They might die tomorrow. They might die later that day, but they're not going to die from the bear. And I think that's all we need to know. That's kind of my opinion because it's just like a bear, yay! And it's not like all ominous and dark. Like we made it. Like if they had that same scene and you just like took away the noise and they just see a bear out there, it would probably feel way.
And it just cuts the credits of like silence, and then all you hear is
the bear
screaming.
Looking at him.
You
Yeah.
just hear screaming and violence. It just you pretty much play like that footage from like that guy that would go out and like hang out with the bears, and he has like that camera sound of him getting like eaten by the bear. Just have that being played over it. No music, credits just rolling.
I don't want to sound like an insensitive dick, but I was watching that documentary, and they never is from what maybe I saw a different cut of it. They never played the audio. The director sat there listening to it.
Starts jerking off to it. Like, oh god,
this is for art. Look at it.
I thought we were watching a movie where a man fucks a bear.
This bear is fucking me in the mind. This is my vengeance. But I was sitting there watching the movie, like, play the fucking audio. Just play the fucking audio. But I just wanted. I'm sure you might be able to find it online. I don't know if that lady who had it. It's like, this is my ex-boyfriend. This is his death rattle. I'm just gonna post this online. I heard you could hear it somewhere. I don't know where, but I was kind of curious though. But it's like, if you do, I'm gonna try that later. I just realized if you watch that ending scene in Snowpiercer with no music, it probably would be unsettling as fuck. But the music kind of gives that sense of optimism, like you're probably gonna be. Maybe they won't live forever, but they'll probably live maybe that day at least, you know. So,
Snowpiercer 2.
Snowpiercer 2. I mean, I like it so much. You don't even have to make Snowpiercer 2. If you did, I'll be there. But I mean, you don't have to.
As long as there's a legitimate sequel to it, I think it'd be sweet. Like, you know what I mean, where somebody like who really wanted to like continue it on. I think that there's enough. There's enough there that I would love to see more in that world. You know, sometimes I think there's certain movies that only need like one. And I know that sometimes like you have this really good movie and then they put a sequel in and they're just kind of like almost like knockoffs, but they happen to have the same name. You know, where Snowpiercer, I think like that world, I would love to see more of that story.
Well, the only two people that we really care about that are left are just Luna.
Or you could almost even have a prequel to that movie too. It would be kind of neat just to see like the world and then like the disaster and then them getting onto the train. And maybe like the movie ends as they all get on the train.
Or it could even go something to the effect of just like, you know what? We never fully showed it. He was just on the ground. We didn't totally see. Chris Evans, still alive, just missing an arm and has a burn on his face.
Yeah, that'd be sweet too. Like that'd be cool if like he gets out of the train.
They just give him an axe for an arm. Just like, you know, he had an axe at one point in the movie. It's like, I don't care. Captain America an axe sells it for me.
Exactly. Like I would see that one. That'd be cool. Why not?
Yeah. No, I totally like, I'm trying to think of another one. Like, I think Wrestler, it's pretty obvious he dies. I don't think
that one just kind of, because you kind of know, because he keeps getting told over and over, like, you know, your heart's going to give out if you keep continuing this, and he does that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost like he's sitting there, it's like in his mind, if you keep continuing this.
The doctor, it's just showing Mickey Rourke's face. There's like a picture of the doctor's face, like swirling around his head, repeating this to him.
See, like The Wrestler is another one of those movies where some people watch and go, "Man, that movie was so sad." But for some reason, I find all this like little comedy stuff in it and things that like maybe are like unintentional. It's just like out of the furnace. Like they remind me of like very similar movies where there's just like stuff in them that's I don't know what it is. It puts a smile on my face. And even though it's this really dark, depressing movie that a lot of other people don't see. But I'll say this though, then again, there's people out there that see Gran Torino that same way too, and we see it like it's practically a comedy that happens to end in a drama.
That's how I see Gran Torino, just because it's just like Clint Eastwood talking shit to this poor kid for like about a good like hour and like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hour and 15 minutes, because the last like 10 minutes he dies, and we see like the aftermath of that. But Yeah, I'd say Gran Torino. I mean, up until like the last, till it takes, as I said last episode, till it takes a hard right turn to Rapeville, it is probably just a dramatic comedy with some very tender, like emotional moments. But it's just that very end where it's just like, oh fuck, you know.
See, with that movie too, you can almost go like, does Clint Eastwood survive? I mean, he's singing there in the end, so technically he could be alive. Maybe he's
Could
like
just be
he's
watching
like
from the bushes.
spirit. Like he rides like Gran Torino too. It's Clint Eastwood is like a ghost spirit that follows that kid around as he drives around the country, like fighting off injustice.
Was it like in not Pale Rider, High Plains Drifter,
where
where
he's
it's
kind of
just
like a ghost?
Was he a ghost the whole time, kind of thing?
Like, yeah, it could be a sequel to both of those movies. Like maybe it is the same spirit that continues on.
We were talking one point in time, like it was just like the way it should end is like how like they just come by after he gets shot up a few times. He goes down, then he pulls out the metal plate that he had in
Like
fistful
throws it down on the
dollars,
ground.
pulls out two like massive revolvers, like blows those guys away,
and then all of a
priest
sudden there's
out.
like 3 times as many Asians as you originally thought there was. Like you don't even question it. Just there's guys everywhere shooting machine guns out windows and so on, and he's taking them all out.
The priest
Throws
comes
a stick
out
of
with
dynamite inside the house. Yeah, the priest shows up with a shotgun, and so the kid comes with the rifle.
Yeah, then like they start playing that song like my dick supersize your dick two. He's like Clint Eastwood's killing all these guys.
That's one of those ones. Like some people might say like that might ruin the integrity of the movie. I kid you not. That right there might make that my favorite movie of all time. Because I already love that movie so much as is, and it's got the realistic ending. I know that like in real life that's how like it would go down. But sometimes when you're in movies, you don't want to see the realistic ending because real life is not nearly as real life's not that good. In real life, you die. In a movie, though, you take out everybody and you succeed.
Remember, we had the idea that he like flips the cigarette at the house just explodes. You know, little trick I learned back in Korea.
As he's walking away.
I just love that line he has though to the big fat guy. The big fat guy's like, "Don't fuck with me." He's like, "I used to stack fucks like you 8 feet tall in Korea."
It's just like one of those ones. Like if it just ended in like a classic Clint Eastwood style, like this huge battle going down, just all this action at the very end. That would have just been it. Like just such a ballsy ending too.
And just take like some like almost get like I'd say get. Just to go like the extra mile to amp up the ridiculousness, get RZA to do like the ending song, but one of the songs just kind of like explains the whole movie. Yo, Clint, what? You know? Oh man, living by himself. You know, it almost sounds more like I'm doing Big Willie now that I do it, but almost one of those. Yeah, go like you know how like back in the '90s or late '90s, early 2000s, you have a lot of those songs just basically said the whole plot of the movie. May get RZA. RZA had one like that on Pacific Rim. Get RZA to do that, and then like intercut like samples of Clint Eastwood, like, what? God damn it, what? You know.
That's just how it is at the ending song. Like I kid you
not,
I think
featuring Clint Eastwood. There you go.
I think that's one of the ones. If that was the ending with it, that would instantly be my favorite Clint Eastwood movie. I mean, like, how could that not be the best movie of all time? Even if there are people who would hate that movie completely. But then again, that movie's already a mixed bag for people. Because I meet some people who think that movie's amazing, like we do. I mean, other people who go like, I don't know, that movie's just okay. It just seems like an old, angry, bitter, racist man. But it's funny, right? I mean, it's Clint Eastwood. I don't like Clint Eastwood. Oh, okay. And then there's some people that just take it like it's a very serious drama.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I laughed too much. Well, you and me we're just fucked up individuals. Because you and me, we were like the only ones laughing in that theater on most of the stuff. Just because we watched the movie, we went in that movie.
I think it's also
on a total whim. We went in that movie in a total whim. We just got done getting Chinese. We walked by like, oh, I forgot this movie came out. Like, you got anything to do today? Later tonight? I got nothing to do. Want to just go see it? Okay, it starts in 5 minutes. And just walking in there and just sit in the movie. And then there's that part. I want to say the first thing we laughed at. They're at the funeral. And it's just like, you know, the stupid little kid, the stupid little grandson does the texticles thing whenever he's doing the little, you know, the tell mother, sister, father, Holy Ghost thing. And then he sees the granddaughter, and she has like a belly button ring just because that shot of Clint Eastwood's face.
Well, I think
Just
it's
like, sold. This movie's made for me.
Well, I think it's one of the ones like that movie. You have like if you're a super Clint Eastwood fan, then that movie's just so amazing. I think if you just kind of know who Clint Eastwood is, but you don't really care about him, then I don't think you care for it that much. You got to be like the ultimate Clint Eastwood fan to truly enjoy that film.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that movie could just be a Clint Eastwood reacting negative to the different things, just him grunting at him, you know? Like every time he sees something that pisses him off, he just grunts slowly to himself.
I just like it's just the thing. It's just this guy.
Be good text tone.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
Oh, 1 second, I got a text.
Almost kind of scary, like in the middle of the night, like you're just laying there in bed, it's just like, like, oh god, there's something under the bed.
Yes, like you have first time like Laura stays over at your place, your phone just goes off. What the fuck was that?
Oh, just Clint Eastwood. As he slides slowly underneath the bed, looking up.
That whole thing, just like people always, someone actually asked me on like Facebook, you're on the podcast, what was the slide thing you talk about? The Clint Eastwood slide. If you look at Outlaw, Josie Wales, there's a part, I think it's after the Native American guy joins them. It's like the next day, like they're having a campfire.
Yeah.
We're transitioning to the next day, and there's a slow kind of fade out, but Clint Eastwood, he's standing there. I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm not sure if it's a artistic choice or a creative choice or what, because he did direct that movie. But there is a part where he's standing there. It's like he's standing on a skateboard and someone with a little rope is pulling him off screen because he just does this unnaturally smooth slide right off the camera. And it's not like he took a step. And even if he did take a step, nobody moves. Nobody would make that motion. No one would take a step like, whoop, I'm going to just limber on this way. And even if they did, it wouldn't be as smooth and as even and as slow of a crawl as it is.
No, it's just it happens like a couple times in that movie. He just like literally just goes off screen, and it's like, what the fuck? And I think he does it in some other ones too. It's just like it became the Clint Eastwood slide off.
It's like, this will be my thing. It's gonna catch on. No, but no one notices but us. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's probably a good place to leave off at. Getting close to the 2-hour mark. But make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.